And we welcome you to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hilton. Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi, the site and the matchup, the only battle of two top 25 teams in the entire country. Number 15, Texas A&M, and number 24, Ole Miss. You take a look at the SEC West standings. Pivotal game, LSU on top. Alabama squeaked one out today to go to 4-1. And it's Texas A&M and Ole Miss nipping at their heels and trying to stay in the hunt. Welcome, everybody. Brad Nussler along with Todd Blackledge, as they call him in the Grove, Hottie Toddy over here. Partner, you know, both coaches this week did not want to use the term elimination game in this side of the SEC. But really, you lose this game, you're not going to make it to Atlanta.
Well, you already pointed out LSU and Alabama a notch above them on the ladder. So you have to win to keep pace. But I think even more than that, both of these teams didn't like what happened last week and want to get that taste out of their mouth, get things going in the right direction tonight.
We talked about top two quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference in this game. Some great skill position players, but we got something special we're going to watch tonight.
We have a great battle in the trenches. Laramie Tunsil, the left tackle for Ole Miss, is back after serving a 7-game NCAA suspension. Most people consider him to be the top NFL prospect at that position, and he'll be going against a guy who's been the most disruptive defensive player in the SEC so far. Myles Garrett, the defensive end, leads the league in sacks and forced fumbles. Very explosive off the edge. It's going to be fun to watch.
We're going to have one guy missing that's a key ingredient for Ole Miss. With more on that, Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, guys, there will be one less big body in the trench tonight. The defensive tackle for Ole Miss, Robert Kemdichi, has been ruled out for this game. Last week against Memphis, the defensive player was on offense rushing the ball when his hit had the turf. He missed the rest of that game. Now, he did not practice all week, but Hugh Freeze told us yesterday about 1 o'clock he had passed all the protocols for concussion tests. He did go through the team's walkthrough about 3:30, but woke up this morning with some headaches and has been ruled out. In his place, a redshirt freshman, Breland Speaks, getting his first start tonight.
Well, that is a big loss. Texas A&M won the toss and deferred. Oh, they want to take that back. They'll take the football. So Ole Miss to kick. Speedy Noyle, Christian Kirk, our back deep. Nathan Noble will start us off from Vaught Hemingway Stadium. And it goes through the arms of Noyle, and they'll bring it out to the 25. Kyle Allen, tough outing a week ago. And you talk about trying to get a bad taste out of your mouth, as Todd just said. He had 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns against the Tide last week.
Yeah, but to his credit, he faced the media on Tuesday. He answered the questions in a very straightforward manner, took responsibility, and maintained his position as a leader on this football team. So a very important game for him tonight as the leader of this offensive football team.
Comes in with 14 touchdown passes. Chad Kelly on the other side has 16 for Ole Miss. First down for the Aggies. And they run it, and a nice run it is for Trey Carson. So we take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players. Christian Kirk, the most dynamic freshman, I think we all agree, in the country. There is a Kemdichi on the field, and he's the leading tackler. That's the older brother, Denzel. And Mike Hilton on the backside is the top man in the secondary. A couple interceptions, and he's tops in the conference in passes broken up. There is a wide open Ricky Seals-Jones, and they don't connect.
Boy, busted coverage. And Seals-Jones, if he would have just kept running, I think he would have run under this football. I'm not sure if he didn't know how close he was to the sideline, but he stopped and jumped, and the ball went over his hands. But that was clearly a busted coverage for Ole Miss, and they got away with one.
So the first third down of the night. There's the numbers for the Aggies on the year.
This has been a problem area for Ole Miss the last 4 weeks.
And a flag down. So they do come up with a stop, but we'll wait and see about the penalty.
They brought pressure from the outside.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Remains good down.
Ifedi, the right tackle, with a false start.
I think Ifedi saw the corner blitz coming and got a little jumpy in his stance. This has been an area the last few weeks for Ole Miss, their defense. They couldn't get off the field last week at Memphis. Memphis converted 12 of 20 third down opportunities, and half of those were the results of just poor tackling.
Aggies make it tough on themselves. 3rd down and 7. Allen throws the wide out screen. Josh Reynolds, he's not going to get there. And so Ole Miss does come up with a stop on their opening defensive set.
And that is a huge stop for the Ole Miss defense. Again, tackling a real point of emphasis this week. They had a very hard Tuesday and Wednesday practice, getting back to fundamentals, and that's a very positive start for them defensively.
So Drew Kaiser, top punter in the conference, almost 50 a kick, set to punt, and it's blocked. Or did he get it off?
Well, there's flags down, but I thought they got a piece of the ball. I don't know how they didn't, because they were in there very quickly.
And Kaiser's down at the 20-yard line.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker, defense number 23. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Carlos Davis with the personal foul. We take another look.
Right up the middle. I mean, I don't know how he didn't get a piece of the ball,
I don't either.
but he ran right through Kaiser.
The reason we weren't sure whether or not it was blocked or not, because he hit his leg so hard that the ball just sort of popped up near midfield. And the best punter in the Southeastern Conference is still down.
Wow. It looked like he missed the ball.
Holding on the field that the ball was not tipped. The previous play is under review.
I still couldn't tell on the replay whether or not he got a piece of it or not. I think it's just that his leg, the momentum of his leg was completely stopped, it appeared.
Again, even though he came up the middle, when you practice that, you practice going to a spot where the ball is going to come off the foot. You don't go right at the kicker. And Davis ran obviously too close to Kaiser. Didn't go to the spot where the ball was coming off the foot.
Bill Lamagna is our official in the booth with us. Bill, I don't know if you could see it or did.
It looked to me like he hit the leg, didn't hit the ball, but he got the leg before the ball was actually kicked. So this should not be roughing or it should be roughing the kicker, because he got him before the kick.
Wow.
Ole Miss aggressively going after the first punt after the 3rd down stop.
Seems almost physically impossible not to get this ball. This might be our best look right here. It's still a bang-bang play. I don't know. So, we're under review. Ben Oldham is our replay official. And Ken Williamson, our referee, still on the headset.
Well, it looks like Kaiser is okay on the A&M sideline, which is a big relief for them.
Boy, absolutely.
Such an outstanding season.
And career, for that matter, averaging over 46 yards a punt, and Shane Leckler's school record. He's getting ready to shatter that if he continues at this pace.
Caden Smith, the tight end, number 47, one of the personal protectors, got just enough of a block of Davis to slow him down. He had a direct path to the punter. And again, kind of amazing if he didn't get the ball.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands.
I think it's the right call. The more we looked at those replays, I don't think he got any piece of the ball. It's hard to imagine that he didn't.
Talk about your first quarter coming to a screeching halt a minute and a half into the game.
Well, and they got such a great stop. You know, they got the stop on 3rd down, and now their defense has to come right back on the field. And I wouldn't be surprised to see A&M take a shot down the field here. Try to get Christian Kirk involved right now in this possession. He's up here in the slot, right there, number 3.
They move him all over the field. Leads the club with 39 catches. So Kyle Allen back out there with the offense. And the throw is going to be that same screen, only going the other way as Josh Reynolds, and he got about 3 yards before Tony Bridges brought him down.
Both of these teams have outstanding wide receiver groups. You could make an argument that both of them pose the best in the conference.
The give to Trey Carson. And Carson close to a first down.
Good start so far for Trey Carson in the A&M running game. Last week in the loss to Alabama, only 32 yards rushing on 25 attempts. Again, Alabama, one of the best run defenses in all of college football.
So a third down and about a half yard to go. And it's Carson for the first down, but not by much. Nice hit.
Yeah, nice play by Trey Elston. Not surprised to see A&M running inside. Again, the absence of Kemdichi is huge for this Ole Miss defense.
And Carson's a big back at 235. Yeah. Seventh play of the drive at the Ole Miss 43. Throw out in the flat. Complete. There'll be another, close to another first down. Damian Ratley.
This wide receiver group puts so much pressure on you. Easy throws, quick throws. Get it to the receiver out in space and see if they can make people miss. And again, Ole Miss last week against Memphis, 18 official missed tackles.
Carson inside the 30. 5 more for number 5. Breland Speaks made the tackle. Ole Miss, their defensive guys talking with us the last couple of days about they're sort of used to tempo, but they say Texas A&M is the fastest they faced. And they're certainly not slowing down on this drive right now. Carson bounced it outside.
I think we're going to get a holding on the inside. Keaton Sutherland, I believe. Or it might be Joseph Cheek.
Holding offense, number 78.
Sutherland.
10 yards in the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Sutherland, a freshman, 310-pounder.
Rotating in the left guard, the hands on the outside. You know, kind of an easy call, and then at the end, he pulls the man down as Carson breaks to the outside.
James White, who was a game-time decision on whether he'd play, is in the backfield with Kyle Allen.
This is only his 10th offensive snap of the season.
Allen, look out from the backside. Down he goes. Marquise Haynes around the corner, and a loss of 11.
Marquise Haynes, a speed rusher, not an overly big defensive end at 20. Number 27, great first step. And he beats Genesi, the left tackle, and a big negative yardage play for Ole Miss.
All the way back to midfield. Second down and 31. Here is White. Got tripped up after a short game. Breland Speaks got him by the shoe tops.
Speaks is in there. Channing Ward is also in the game. One guy we haven't mentioned that was banged up a little bit in practice this week, Fadal Brown, one of their starters at defensive end. Not sure how much he can play tonight either.
Third and a mile for the Aggies. They need to get all the way down to the 19-yard line for a first down. Allen throws a deep out through the hands of his intended receiver, Speedy Noel, incomplete. So Ole Miss is going to get off the field. Gave a little ground, but then the penalties and the sack back the Aggies out of any kind of scoring chance. Collins Moore will await the kick from Drew Kaiser, who's okay after being roughed a few minutes ago. This time the return on for Ole Miss. Fair catch taken back at the 5-yard line. Maybe should have let that one go. 23-yard punt. Ole Miss will be deep in its own territory with Chad Kelly at the controls when we come back. Chad Kelly a little bit in the open. Over 2,200 yards passing, 10th most in college football. Tops in the SEC. Same story. Tops in the Southeastern Conference in touchdown passes and 14th in the country. 9.5 yards yards an attempt. I think more impressive, 14.5 yards of completion.
Yeah. Well, I think Chad Kelly has exceeded everybody's expectations here. I think he's played at a very high level. He's been very focused. The thing they want him to do over this last 5-game stretch, continue to make good decisions and pick his spots to try to make big plays.
We don't want to make a mistake down here, and already we got a flag down as Aaron Morris, I think, the left guard, with a false start.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 72. Half the distance to the goal, remains first down.
And now Chad is going to be firmly entrenched in his own end zone when he takes this next snap.
Well, we mentioned the return of Tunsil off the NCAA suspension. The other thing that did is it allowed them to move guys back to regular spots where they've been most comfortable. Vaughn Cooper back at right tackle.
Kelly's going to keep it, and he's going to lose another yard. Wilson with a nice play defensively. Let's take a look at the Chick-fil-A impact players going the other way. You can't have a game with Ole Miss without Laquan Treadwell being one of them. We talked about Tunsil, the left tackle, and how important he is, and Todd talked about Myles Garrett.
Wow.
And the kind of season he's had.
That was an interesting play because a couple of the wide receivers out wide, they didn't even move. That was just the quarterback and the tight end communicating and getting the ball out quickly.
3rd down and 4. They got a little more room to work. Kelly throws a slant, and a great throw it is, and complete. Stringfellow with a first down. DeMaurier Stringfellow, one of those tall receivers. All their guys 6'2" or bigger, it seems. And they move from the shadow of their own goalposts out across the 20-yard line. Low throw, but taken by Attaboy Joe.
So we'll see both teams do something similar. That's a run play with a quick pass attached to it. So the line is blocking run. The running back expects to get the ball, and the quarterback and the wide receiver read numbers and decide whether to throw it or not. That was a good decision by Chad Kelly.
Between those kind of plays and their screen passes, that's where they basically pick up some of their rushing yardage. Comes back the other way to Stringfellow again. And it's going to be just a little bit short of the first down.
Right now, Texas A&M substituting a couple interior defensive tackles. Young guys, number 92 Henderson, number 5 Dalen Mack, that are very disruptive. These two guys have a chance to be great players in this league.
Ken Williamson, the referees, stop things here. He wants to measure and make sure that he was indeed short. So they bring the sticks from the far side.
We mentioned the trouble running the football that A&M had last week against Alabama. Ole Miss, similar problems running it against Memphis, only 40 yards on 24 attempts. And when you're not balanced, when you're all one way, it's a lot easier to defend you. And even though Chad Kelly threw for great numbers against Memphis, Memphis controlled the football game because they were able to totally negate the running game.
3rd down and not even the length of the football to go. First couple games, Ole Miss was really on fire offensively. It had something to do with who they were playing, though.
Well, and part of the problem on 3rd and shorts for Ole Miss, their starting tailback, Jalen Walton, is 5'8", 170 pounds. He's not a big physical back. He's more of a perimeter runner. So that's why they've used Kamdichi in short yardage and goal line situations. They also have a backup tight end, Jeremy Liggins, that they bring in.
Yeah, he's in there right now, as a matter of fact.
They have to try to do creative things. They bring in an extra offensive lineman, which they have in right now, in Sean Rawlings. They have to try to create advantages in short yardage.
And Liggins is going to take this in a wildcat set and try to pick up the needed 1 foot. Although he gives it off, and it's more than a first down. Out to the 40-yard line, Jordan Wilkins.
Nice play. A&M expecting Liggins to keep inside. He gives it on the wide run to Jordan Wilkins, who's a little bit bigger at 215 pounds. And a nice first down conversion for Ole Miss.
With that carry and that pickup, Jordan Wilkins already has more rushing yardage than he did a week ago.
Time to get Treadwell in the game.
Kelly all day to throw and going long, and it's Treadwell. And no flag. There is the flag. Devontae Harris was trying to stay with number 1. It's hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, Chad Kelly has an NFL arm. That time he slightly underthrew Laquan Treadwell because Treadwell had a step.
Pass interference, defense number 1. The penalty is 15 yards.
I think that's a good penalty, though, because I think this is a touchdown if he doesn't get in the way.
I mean, he's beat. Treadwell has him beat. The safety's not in position to help. And because he had to slow down for the football, there was the interference by Harris, and you might be right.
Well, they are into Aggie territory with the penalty at the 46-yard line. Blitz coming. Walton trying to cut it outside, but a nice tackle by Armani Watts from his safety spot.
Armani Watts giving a little land shark signal to the folks here in Oxford, but a nice open field tackle.
He's the leading tackler for Texas A&M from that safety position. 8th play of the Ole Miss drive. Kelly rolling to throw and airing it out long again, and another flag. We might have a holding call where that penalty marker was thrown.
Yep, I think so. I think we're going to get a holding on Donovan Wilson, number 6. He was in single coverage again with John Chavis's defense, a lot of man coverage, and they got the nickel back.
Holding against an eligible receiver, number 6 of the defense. The penalty is 10 yards from the previous spot and includes an automatic first down.
Markel Pack, number 11, is going to run a corner route, and he's held. And because Donovan Wilson knew he was beat, he bit on the inside fake and turned around and held on the way out. Back-to-back penalties on the defensive backfield of A&M.
And if they hadn't made them, might have been back-to-back throws for a touchdown. So 1st and 10, out to 36. Already 40 penalty yards against the Aggies. Ooh, Walton got blasted in the backfield, got back to the line of scrimmage. Obioha from the defensive tackle spot in on the stop. Again, 3 wideouts for Chad Kelly on 2nd and 10. Midway, 1st quarter and no score here in Oxford so far.
Movement again. You know, Myles Garrett shifted down inside over the guard, and for the 2nd time in the 1st quarter.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense number 72.
Yeah.
5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
Aaron Morris has to get his focus right. You know, I mean, those are the penalties that you hate. You've got momentum, you're moving the football, you've converted some 3rd downs, and then it's just a lack of mental concentration. Myles Garrett shifted down over the guard, and Aaron Morris just moved in his stance.
Kelly, the quick slant. Good catch, good hit.
Well, we mentioned that Laramie Tunsil back. He was in the 1st series. He's out right now. You know, you wonder what kind of game shape he's going to be in. That means Fawn Cooper is going to flip back and forth from right tackle to left tackle. So Fawn Cooper started the game at right tackle, but now he's back to left tackle where he's played the first 7 games of the year.
Walton splits out as a wide receiver. Kelly down the middle, complete, short of the 1st down. And it's attaboy Joe again, and again working on Donovan Wilson.
Well, you see the toughness of Chad Kelly, too. Middle blitz coming right up on the inside. He didn't flinch. Claude George came right up the gut and hit him right as he was throwing the football, but he's still able to convert and bring up a short yardage.
And
field goal attempt.
Field goal attempt by Gary Wunderlich. Wunderlich, 45 yards is his longest field goal this year. Kick on the way from 44, and it's no good. A little bit too wide to the right. So still no score with 5:45 remaining 1st quarter at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. And the Aggies will have it back when we come back.
And college football is presented by Hilton.com, where you can book unbeatable prices on 12 unbeatable hotel brands, and in part by Lexus and their pursuit of perfection.
kind of a stop and start drive for Ole Miss on that last series, and they end up missing a 44-yard field goal, so still scoreless. But they did move it from their own 5-yard line, so they at least switched the field a little bit as the Aggies will work now from the 27. There's a handoff to Kirk. Oops, he's in trouble. A lot of it. He's got great speed and moves, but I don't know if he's got enough for this carry. Maybe.
Wow. Well, there's where you see why he's such a devastating punt returner. I mean, that was just like a punt return. They had him behind the line. It should have been about a 5- or 6-yard loss. And again, the tackling problems for the Ole Miss defense. Missed tackles. I mean, it's hard to get great players on the ground when you're just throwing arms at them. You got to wrap them up and bring them to the ground.
After all of that, he only lost 2 yards. And a positive run by Trey Carson. He got 5 back.
Good penetration by Speaks, the guy who's in there in replace of Kimdichie. And again, you know, I'm sure Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator, took a big sigh of relief when he saw Kimdichie wasn't going to play, because he forces you to change your game plan. You have to account for him every single play because he disrupts everything on the inside. And with him not in there, a lot easier to think about running the football.
3rd down at 7 for Kyle Allen. Flares it out to Carson. Going to have to make a guy miss, and he didn't.
Now that was excellent defense on the outside by DeMarcus Gates. DeMarcus Gates, you could see that they worked on fundamentals of tackling this week in their drills, because watch him break down as he chases the play. He's going to break down in his stance, size him up, and then wrap up the arms and take him to the ground. That you can't do it any better than that, but they didn't do it on the first play of the possession.
Tuesday and Wednesday, they spent a lot of time on tackling. It showed up there. The punt will go to the 21, and buried immediately is Collins Moore. Nice job on the punt coverage. Devontae Burns with the hits. Still scoreless. 4:30 remaining first quarter.
Spurs Thunder at 8, Wolves Lakers at 10:30. Wednesday on ESPN.
For Monday Night Football on ESPN, got a battle in the desert for you. Joe Flacco and the Ravens take on NFC West leading Cardinals and Carson Palmer. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Carson Palmer having a really fine year. You keep him upright, he's pretty darn good still. Here we got Chad Kelly, the nephew of Jim Kelly, the Hall of Famer, at the controls for Ole Miss. Nice opening. Jalen Walton. And Walton all the way into Aggie territory before he's run out by Watts and picked up a 29.
Evan Ingram with a great block on Myles Garrett. They didn't block him at the line of scrimmage. They brought Ingram across the formation to cut him off, and Walton ran inside the block of Evan Ingram.
After the play was over, personal foul, defense number 23. 15 yards into the run, first down.
Well, Monty Watts, that didn't help the cause.
Watch Evan Ingram, 17, get the cutoff block on Myles Garrett. And Walton shows that speed. He's not overly big, but he's not afraid to run in between the tackles. That time, nice blocking in front of him.
And Watts ran him out and kept on running.
Yeah.
5 penalties against Texas A&M, 3 on their defense as Kelly comes up to Treadwell at the 30. He's run out of bounds by Justin Evans.
Well, even though Laramie Tunsil is back, that doesn't mean they're not going to give him some help working on Myles Garrett. That time they got a chip from the running back. As good as Tunsil is, he's not in game shape completely. And that time he got a little help from his running back.
Chad Kelly's perfect so far, 7 for 7. Walton again, things open up on the right side, and he tackled himself.
The turf monkey.
He got 3 before he hit the deck.
Ole Miss not having any trouble moving the football so far tonight. This drive mixing in some nice runs. It was pretty much all pass until this drive. This will open up play action in the middle of the defense.
This is their short yardage on 3rd down again. Aggies almost jumped, which would have given them an automatic 1st down. 3rd down, less than 1. Kelly on the option is going to keep it, and he might have gotten face masked. He got the 1st down. It sure looked like his head went in the wrong direction. There's the flag.
Pretty nice read by Chad Kelly. When you run the option, you can't hesitate. You got to make a quick decision. He gave a little fake like he was going to pitch it and cut it back in.
Face mask. Defense number 10. After distance to the goal. Automatic 1st down.
The other defensive end, and he's a good one too, Deshaun Hall.
Watch the little fake. And Deshaun Hall reaches back outside to get a hold of the face mask.
So the Aggies are giving up chunks of yardage to the Rebels here with their defensive penalties.
And again, this is where you look for Laquan Treadwell. Big physical receiver. Here he is right here. You give him a chance to make plays in this part of the field.
And it's Kelly keeping it again. He got to the corner somehow. Didn't think he was going to get to the edge. He actually leads the Rebels in touchdown runs with 4.
Good run. Good solid decision. Got an Aggie down. Looks to be Armani Watts.
Oh. Or Sean Washington.
Yeah, Sean Washington.
Holding his left shoulder.
Well, they're already a little bit thin at linebacker. Otaro Alaka is out for the season with a torn labrum. He went ahead and had surgery. They were hurting at linebacker all through the spring and early part of fall camp. They've gotten some of those guys back, but now Sean Washington being attended to.
Well, we've got a time out here. Zubin's got an update in the studio for us.
Brad, thanks. Taco Bell studio update. You know about LSU's running game and their defense. They get Brandon Harris going. Look out. The trifecta could be in place. Malachi Dupree on the other end of this. It's 7-0 LSU in Death Valley over the Hilltoppers. Brad, back to you at the Grove.
All right, that's a pretty looking pass.
Yeah, well, we saw a little bit of that the last time we saw LSU. And, you know, as good as Fournette is, when you can run like that, boy, it's fun to play quarterback because now your play action game opens up, and LSU has always had those receivers that can go get the football, and they've got a couple this year in Duvall and Dupree.
Kevin Sumlin looking on in his 4th year. He and Hugh Freeze came into the SEC the same time. Let's take a look at the AP top 10 rankings brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Ohio State and Rutgers, they're getting underway in about 10 minutes on ABC. Baylor, that's the first time they've been held under 50 this year. 45-27 win. Utah and USC are tied right now. And some of the other teams in the top 10. Alabama had a tough time. They really had to play their tails off against Tennessee to win 19-14. And again, collarbone or shoulder, something to Sean Washington. He'll come out. That'll probably put more pressure on Richard Moore to play some more linebacker. And he's a true freshman, so Josh Walker's in there for him right now.
You know, one of the areas that this defense has improved under John Chavis in a lot of the statistical categories, one of the most significant is how they've played in the red zone in terms of not allowing touchdowns. 24 red zone opportunities, only 10 touchdowns they've allowed.
2nd down and 6 as the Rebels can get a 1st down inside the 2. They've got Liggins, the extra tight end, in there on the left side. Basically another tackle, and Kelly on a naked bootleg throws across his body and got it. Devin Ingram for the touchdown.
Wow, this is not an easy throw or an easy catch. Chad Kelly was rolling to his left, threw back across his body into a receiver who was in between 2 Texas A&M defenders.
Extra point is good. Good looking drive. Chad Kelly caps it off with his 17th touchdown pass of the season. 7-0 Ole Miss. Brought to you by Allstate, Todd.
Well, a couple things to look at first. Watch Liggins help on the block on Garrett. Now Treadwell's going to run to the corner, and that's going to draw two defenders. Most importantly right there, because as Ingram comes across, he's going to catch the ball right in between two A&M defenders. Treadwell draws two. Chad Kelly makes a hard throw across his body and sticks it in between two A&M defenders. And the first touchdown of the game belongs to Ole Miss.
You were almost pleading with co-offensive coordinator Matt Luke at our meeting yesterday about using his tight end more. He did on that drive. And we'll bring it out to the 25, and we'll send it out to Zubin.
Brad, PNC Saturday Inside. Las Vegas had USC the favorite over third-ranked Utah. Maybe now we know why. Justin Davis capping an 88-yard drive. Hang on. 7-0 for Clay's boys at the Coliseum. Back to you guys in Oxford.
One of the unbeaten still remaining. The Utes down early here. Texas A&M down a touchdown now after a 79-yard drive in just under 2 minutes. And Chad Kelly with a touchdown pass. Only 32 total yards so far in the first quarter for A&M. James White remains the tailback behind Kyle Allen. And gets the carry and gets leveled right about at the line of scrimmage by Channing Ward.
Again, Channing Ward going to get a lot more reps tonight because of some of the injuries.
False start. Offense 65. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Genesee, the left tackle again with the penalty as we check in with Holly.
Guys, defensive end Channing Ward is in there right now because Marquise Haynes, their defensive end starter, is out with a left knee injury. They have been decimated by injuries on the defense. Remember, Kamdichi not playing tonight. Isaac Gross out. Tony Connor really getting thin for this Landshark defense.
Yeah.
C.J. Johnson is back tonight. He's been out for a few games. This is him right here at the defensive end spot, number 10, one of their real veterans.
Run blitz. And White runs right through it. Out to the 29. C.J. Johnson made the tackle. There's Tony Connor, and he's an All-American defensive back, and he's really missed.
Well, he plays a valuable position in this defense, what they call the husky back. It's kind of a combination linebacker defensive back, and when he got hurt, it forced 3 people to shift to try to cover up for his absence. Long
Play fake by Allen, and then he has to eat it after a pickup of a yard. That play didn't look right for some reason.
Now, Mike Hilton is playing the Husky now, and he's a very good football player, but he's 5'9", 180 pounds. He started everywhere in the secondary at one time or another. Right now, he's playing that valuable Husky spot in place of Tony Connor.
And wearing that Chucky Mullins jersey, number 38. Here's Allen off of play action, wide open. Ricky Seals-Jones with a hurdle job, and he's got a first down.
Well, it was a blitz, and nobody picked up Ricky Seals-Jones. And that, again, I think the second time with Seals-Jones involved, we've seen a little bit of a bust in the Ole Miss coverage. And you got to get the ball in the hands of Christian Kirk.
White, a yard, and that's about it. C.J. Johnson, the captain of the defense, in on the tackle. He's playing linebacker and defensive end tonight because of what Holly said with the injuries on that front.
Well, and also because scheme-wise, Texas A&M uses so many wide receiver sets that they're going to be in their dime package more often, and that puts him in a defensive end spot.
Trey Carson back into the Aggie backfield. Allen right down the middle to Carson. And DeMarcus Gates with the tackle, short of the first down.
This is by design, throwing it to the back. This was, sometimes you check down to the back after you look downfield. This was a design throw to the back, out of the backfield. Again, hoping you could get a catch and make one guy miss and turn it into a big play.
Again, Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator, the call into his quarterback as the first quarter winding to a close. Big third down here. Aggies would like to keep this thing drive alive as they go into the second quarter of the football game. And not going to make it with that run. Carson brought down by Youngblood. I think he's a yard shy.
Youngblood coming from the backside. And as Carson tried to cut that ball back across the formation, he ran right into Youngblood.
First quarter is going to come to a close. And Ole Miss on their home turf in front. End of one. The Rebels 7. The Aggies nothing. Key game in the SEC West. College football primetime Saturday. Put one game on the big screen, another game on your computer, your tablet, or your smartphone using Watch ESPN. Just download the app or go to watchespn.com. Brad Nessler, Tom Blackledge, Holly Rowe, our ESPN crew at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi, as we go into quarter number 2. And the Rebels up 7-0. And Drew Kaiser set to punt. Moore with the fair catch taken around the 6, maybe 7-yard line. And Ole Miss started off 4-0 on the season. They got up to number 3 in the country, but they've lost 2 of their last 3. They lost to Florida, the game we did, and then last week Memphis picked them off. Memphis, good football team. Last 4 of the season at Auburn, Arkansas, number 5 LSU, and then the Egg Bowl at the end. How about Arkansas today in Auburn? 4 overtimes. And it was Pig Suey time at the end as the Razorbacks won it.
Chad Kelly 8 for 8.
Give is to Akeem Judd. Judd, nice balance. And he's got about 12, maybe more, before they can bring him down. Looked like he was going to go down, put his hand on the turf, and kept on chugging. So for the second time, the Rebels started inside their own 10-yard line, and they've worked it out to the 20.
Chad Kelly hasn't completed a pass for more than 10 yards, but he did throw it down the field and draw penalties twice.
Looking to throw one deep here. And overshot Cody Core. Core had a step.
And they're going to get Tunsil, I think, for holding on Myles Garrett. He was working one-on-one, and he was trying to take Garrett outside of his quarterback, but I think they're going to get him for holding and dragging him down to the ground.
Holding offense, number 78. 10-yard penalty for the previous spot. Repeat first down.
You know, it's great to have him back, but what a welcome back present going against this guy. And Myles Garrett does a great job of using leverage, getting low, getting that left arm underneath, and then driving towards the quarterback and drawing the hold penalty.
7-game suspension he returns from. And again, he worked individual drills and running and all that. But as Todd mentioned earlier, it's a whole different deal when you're in a hurry-up offense or play tempo like they do, and you're in 7, 8, 9-play drives. Short toss. Jalen Walton got almost back to the original line of scrimmage.
Now, what they did on this play is smart. This time they baited Myles Garrett to come up the field and threw a screen right underneath him. Watch, they let him come up the field, and then they slip the screen right by him. And then Tunsil goes out and gets the lead block on the screen. Those are the things you have to do against a great player like Myles Garrett.
Kelly rolling to throw and throws a dart to Laquan Treadwell. Treadwell around everybody to the 40.
I think Treadwell thought he was going to get hit as soon as he caught the football. He kind of paused, but there was no A&M defender around him. And again, Chad Kelly throwing on the move. Not a long completion, but an effective one.
With the run after catch, though, a 22-yard pickup. Chad Kelly is 10 for 10. 11 for 11. Markel Pack picks up 7 more. And we got an Aggie down at the 40-yard line. Looks like it's Alonzo Williams, the defensive tackle. So that's the only thing that slowed down the Ole Miss offense to this point. We'll take a timeout and check on Alonzo when we come back.
So you say men are superior drivers?
Yeah.
Then
Texas A&M is getting thin through their defensive middle right now. Defensive tackle Alonzo Williams limped off to the sideline with a left leg injury. The problem, the guy that plays right behind him, Sean Washington, has been out since he injured a neck or clavicle early in the game. They've been furiously working on him, adjusting that neck, trying to get him back in. His pads are back return to the game.
All right, Holly. Kingsley Kiki is a freshman that's come in to take Williams' spot.
Well, the good thing for Washington, not only did he have his helmet on, he had his chin strap buckled too.
Kelly, quick throw. Out to Pack. Another completion for Chad Kelly.
You know, the A&M defense last week, even though they lost Alabama 41-23, after the first quarter, they did a lot of good things on defense. John Chavis was very happy with the effort. But so far tonight, Ole Miss is moving the ball pretty well, mixing a little bit of run and a very hot quarterback in Chad Kelly.
12 for 12 hot for 100 yards and a touchdown. And Dalen Mack, a freshman, has really made an impact for the Aggies defense. Bowls over the blocker on that
Offside
side.
by contact. Defense number 5. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
He's going to be a really good one.
Yeah. Well, penalties have hurt A&M tonight so far. Again, couple times that Chad Kelly has tried to throw the ball down the field. He drew 1 pass interference and 1 holding penalty. And then just little mistakes adding to the problem stopping Ole Miss.
Got a season high in penalties. In fact, that ball batted in the air. First incompletion.
It was a corner blitz.
Brandon Williams.
Yep, Brandon Williams came on the blitz and kept his eyes on the quarterback and was able to time his jump and almost get an interception off his own deflection.
So the first incompletion. Back to the ground game. Big opening off the left side for Jordan Wilkins. And he's got another first down.
Well, Tunsil out. Fawn Cooper back to left tackle, and he got a beautiful block on that play. Just logged his man to the inside and opened up the perimeter for the run.
Wilkins had 5 yards on 6 carries last week against Alabama, and he's had 2 big runs already in this first half. Brandon Williams in coverage on DeMaurier Stringfellow, and Stringfellow looking for a flag, didn't get it.
Brandon Williams, for most of his career, was a running back, made the switch to cornerback. He has great speed, and he's a big cornerback. He wasn't an overly big running back, but he's a big physical cornerback, and that time he used his strength to fight 1-for-1.
Another lengthy drive by the Rebels. 9th play coming up. Kelly buried. Zakoven Henderson, another guy that's filling in for Alonzo Williams, came flying in there for the sack. First one of the night.
Yeah, he just whipped the left guard. Or actually, it was the center, Ben Still, who came over and tried to block him, to block back on Henderson. And again, Henderson and Mack are 2 young defensive tackles that are going to be great players in this league.
3rd down and 16 following the loss on the sack.
You want to get yourself in field goal range here.
Kelly, open field in front of him. And he broke a tackle and goes down at the 25. There almost could have been a late hit. He was looking for a flag, didn't get it, but he picked up 13 yards and did get them back in field goal range.
See, that's a great decision by Chad Kelly. If he tries to force a throw here and it's incomplete, it's a long field goal attempt, and they've already missed 1. He makes the decision to scramble, keeps his eyes downfield, and now he gives himself and his team a chance to add to the lead.
Wunderlich missed one earlier. This one's from 41. And this one's going to be good. Gary Wunderlich tacks on 3 more for the Rebels. At home, they lead 10-0.
I'm looking to get a new iPhone.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Own your tomorrow. And BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
The Ole Miss and the Texas A&M men's and women's golf program spent the week in a little competition of their own. Trick shots. I can't hit a golf ball as far as those guys hit some of those footballs. Not bad.
Straight.
10-0 after a 69-yard drive. Again, 11 plays, a little over 3 minutes to get the field goal. Right now, Texas A&M has more penalty yards than they have total yards. That's not good.
No. And Christian Kirk has only touched the football 1 time so far, and that's no good either.
And they're going to have to bring it out to the 25 again. Zubin Mehdi back in the studio with an update. Zubin.
Brad, in Atlanta, we've got one touchdown. Here's what set it up. Man, it's been a disappointing season for the Jackets. LaMarcus Brutus showing no sympathy with the pick and the nice return. Dalvin Cook, who else, would punch it in for Florida State. We're on ESPN2 right now with a 10-3 lead in the ACC. Brad, they got a big one the Noles do in a couple weeks.
Georgia Tech continues to have trouble. They were in the top 15 about a month ago. They're not in the top anything right now. There's the total yardage tonight for the Aggies. And a season high of 8 penalties, and we still got a lot of football left. Kyle Allen in trouble. Down he goes. Breland Speaks, who's had, well, he got the pass away. I thought he was going down.
That's a heck of an effort by Kyle Allen. Not a very good tackle again by Ole Miss. Speaks much bigger than Kyle Allen, but he runs by him.
Throws complete out to Carson. He's trying to give ground to gain ground and not going to get there. Loss on the play, and it was Mike Hilton again.
Now, Mike Hilton's played a lot of ball for this Ole Miss defense. A senior out of Fayetteville, Georgia, has played all 5 starting positions in the secondary. At one time in his career, he started everywhere. Right now playing the Husky.
For a guy that threw 3 interceptions, returned for scores last week, Kyle Allen better be careful right here.
Yep.
3rd down and 11. Fires. Looks like a catch made by Josh Reynolds. Man, he had to lay out and caught that one on his fingertips.
Boy, what a great looking catch. The ball was a little bit underthrown and to the outside. What concentration. That's a beautiful catch.
Sure is.
Wow.
Last year he set the school record. Touchdowns receiving. 3-yard pickup for Trey Carson.
You know, when we talked to Hugh Freeze and all the coaches and the players we talked to, they all talked about we got to get our swagger back. The swagger they had when they went into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama and forced 5 turnovers. They haven't had it for a few weeks. Trying to get it back tonight.
Doing a pretty good job of it so far. Ball's on the ground. Ole Miss has got some swagger. And they got the football. It's C.J. Johnson.
Well, I'm not sure what the problem was. Kyle Allen puts the ball in the belly of Trey Carson, and I don't know if he tried to hold on to it too long on the read, but it was not a clean exchange. Carson didn't think he was going to get the football, and instead it ends up on the ground. Turnovers plagued this A&M offense a week ago, and right now it's hurt their chances again.
And the guy that was to carry the ball but didn't is down. Trey Carson on the deck. Ole Miss will have it at the 33 when we come back.
At Hilton, we say play hooky from the ordinary.
That Trey Carson over on the sideline. As he was involved in that fumble. I don't know if he's upset about that or the fact that he was hurt on the play. Both, I guess. It's handed Ole Miss the football at the 33-yard line, already leading by 10. Kelly throws off his back foot, airs it out there, and Boyjo just lost that one.
Had to get rid of it. There was quick pressure on the inside from Sean Washington, who's back in the game. And that's a good decision. Again, by Chad Kelly. Get rid of the football. An incomplete pass is not a bad thing. Way better than a sack to start this drive after the turnover.
I think Quincy Adeboyjo never saw that coming. Yep. Not that he could have caught it, but Walton brought down after a yard gain. Devontae Harris made the hit, and it'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Back-to-back nice plays by this A&M defense in a sudden change situation. Again, despite the turnovers a week ago, after the first quarter, this defense played pretty solidly. And right now, they have a chance to bail their offense out after that fumble if they can get a stop here.
And it'd be a long field goal attempt if they can stop this 3rd down and 9. Kelly has plenty of time. Deep middle, Laquan Treadwell. First down near the 15, and he's still on his feet. Treadwell, are you kidding me? Touchdown. They don't come much better than that one.
Well, they get the catch for the first down. Wow. Looked like he was down. A.J. Hilliard was there.
Touchdown. The previous play is under review.
A.J. Hilliard made the stop after the catch, and he was down.
His knees are down.
He was clearly down.
It was such a bang-bang play. It looked like he could have been on the A&M defender and never really hit the turf.
Yeah.
But they're going to bring that one back.
Well, nonetheless, a huge conversion on third down for Ole Miss. Again, the last 3 or 4 weeks, they have not been good on third down on offense or on defense. And right now, tonight, they are 4 for 6 on third down.
Of course, Laquan Treadwell, for those of you that don't know, went through rigorous rehab after a bad ending in the Auburn game a year ago, and the game we did. Again, we'll take a look at this. The officials are looking. Both knees are down right there. But it will be a first down, as Todd said. But what he's battled back from, and to be this good, and even though that's not going to stand as a touchdown, the run after the catch was unbelievable.
He's been a great leader, too. When we talked to Matt Luke, the offensive coordinator, co-offensive coordinator, he said he's been really impressed just with the maturity and the leadership of Laquan Treadwell. Has just really had a great focus, not only in working to get himself back from the rehab, but also just helping his team through the couple losses.
It was the last November. We were there. And that was the landing in the end zone, and it was ugly. And he spent his spring and summer rehabbing. Really shocked and inspired the whole staff by being able to come back and do things like that. He never quit, that's for sure.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Ole Miss. 8:42 should be on the game clock.
And he never quit on that last pass reception, even though he was down at the 15. But it's first down anyway.
He has great hands. When you watch him, he doesn't just catch the football. He snatches it out of the air. And he doesn't wait for the ball to get to him. He goes and grabs the football, and he has such a big physical body that you really have to be sure when you tackle him in the open field.
Another one of those guys, when you shake his hand, you realize why he's got such great hands, because they're huge.
Yeah.
He's down to the bottom of your screen on first down, just inside the 15-yard line. And going down again is Jalen Walton for no gain. Obioha, who was shaken up earlier, in on the stop.
And I think, you know, we talk about Chad Kelly and the start he's off to, 13 for 16, and the good run balance. And that means they're doing a pretty good job on Myles Garrett. He got the one penalty.
Walton broke one tackle, not the second one. Good open field stop by Armani Watts. It's going to bring up third down and 10.
Another big third down play, and again, Chad Kelly's got to think, okay, we've got momentum, we've got control of the game, our defense is playing well. A field goal opportunity here is a good thing. Take a look to see if we can convert, but if it's not there, let's not lose a scoring opportunity.
Empty backfield for Chad Kelly on third down and 9. Extra man on the rush. And it's going to pay off. They bring Kelly down. He got back across the line of scrimmage, maybe picked up a yard. But Obioha brings him down there, and that will force a field goal try.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I mean, that's a good stop for the A&M defense. Again, under John Chavis, one of the areas of improvement, not giving up touchdowns in the red zone. But that's a good decision for Chad Kelly. Run it right to the middle of the field, and hope Wonderlic adds 3 more to the board.
He's hit 1 of 2 tonight. He's hit 2 of 3. 30-yard field goal. But not bad for the Aggies defense after the C.J. Johnson fumble recovery. They only give up 3. 13-0 Ole Miss. DC on ESPN from Oxford, Mississippi. Tonight after our game, Washington faces off against number 10 Stanford, Kevin Hogan, and breakout star Christian McCaffrey leading the Cardinal against the Huskies. That's following our game on ESPN. And boy, his daddy was a good receiver, but this kid's something.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey leads college football in all-purpose yardage. We got one of those kind of guys here tonight, but he's not touching the football.
No, he's only had 1 touch, and he's got -2 yards. Christian Kirk.
There he is.
They need to find a way to get the ball in his hands.
It's in it from the 2-yard line. Now that's Speedy Norrell. Beg your pardon. And Speedy got a speeding ticket right there. Luke Davis. Zuba's got an update in the studio.
Brad, you mentioned about a month ago, Georgia Tech was ranked. They need to start playing like this, maybe get themselves back in to the rankings. Justin Thomas, you want to talk about a little speeding ticket of his own here, Brad? 60 yards to the house, and they're loving it in Atlanta. 13-10 on ESPN2. Back to you.
All right, 7 minutes left here in the first half. 13-0 Ole Miss.
Well, Texas A&M's run 25 offensive plays, but nothing big. Only one play that was over 10 yards. Had a 13-yard play was the longest. They're only averaging 3 yards a play. And this is an explosive offense. Not doing it tonight.
Allen steps up, fires, got a man wide open on the sideline. Ricky Seals-Jones out to midfield and then some. Inside the 45-yard line. Their biggest play of the night. Pick up a 44.
Well, for some reason, Ricky Seals-Jones has been running free against this Ole Miss defense. This is the 3rd time tonight that he's been running wide open. He fakes like he's blocking on the screen, and that fooled the Ole Miss defense, and then he found a voided area.
Allen in trouble. Gets rid of it and actually completed the pass out to James White. Now he dropped it.
Well, it's probably good that he dropped it because they would have lost yardage on the completion.
Let's check in with Holly.
Guys, Trey Carson has undergone an extensive evaluation of his left knee on the sideline. They fitted him for a brace. They've let him try it out here, including some cuts. A long conversation with the athletic trainer, but I saw him tell him, I want to get back out there. The problem, James White, his backup, who's in now, has been nursing a left ankle injury. We'll see how long he can go.
He's in there right now behind Allen. They fake it to him. Kyle has plenty of time. Far side up too high for Damian Ratliff.
Well, keep in mind this also about James White, who's in there. He hasn't played in 5 games. I mean, not only has he been nursing the ankle injury, he had a back injury earlier. This is the first week that he's been back practicing, and right now he's being called on, and you just wonder how ready he is to step in there and fill the gap.
For a guy that was a game-time decision, he's getting a lot of game time. 3rd down and 10. Allen had hit his last 7 passes before that one. Going deep. And too far out of bounds. Ricky Seals-Jones.
Nice play by Hilton. Again, Hilton's got corner coverage skills. He's played corner before, so for him to go out there and cover a receiver outside is not a big deal. And he knew where the sideline was and just kept working Ricky Seals-Jones out of bounds for the catch.
So Kaiser in to punt again.
What an improvement on 3rd down defense for Ole Miss tonight. A&M 3 for 8. Last week, Memphis was 12 for 20. Couldn't get off the field.
End over end punts. In some traffic, fair catch made at the 13-yard line. Only a 30-yard kick, but it is inside the 15 where Ole Miss will go to work with a 13-point lead. Celebrating its 11th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate's contributed millions in scholarship funds. A little over 6 minutes remaining in the quarter. Alonzo Williams, by the way, number 83, is back in there after going out favoring his left leg. As Holly showed him over there on the sideline on the bike, and he's back in the lineup. Walton trying to get wide. Brought down as he crossed the 20 by Justin Evans.
Yeah, nice play by Justin Evans. Justin Evans joined the team as a junior college transfer and has done a nice job. 37 tackles coming into the ball game tonight. Played really well against Alabama last week.
Came out of Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Walton again. Again, he almost tackled himself, but he kept his balance and got a first down.
Well, this is the 2nd time we've seen the A&M defense get collapsed. Watch everybody go inside, and that's an easy run for Walton. Somebody has to scrape outside a linebacker if the defensive end goes in.
Walton hesitates, and this time they drop him. Might have gotten a yard. Armani Watts in on the stop.
Deshaun Hall and Myles Garrett back in. They were getting a break the first couple plays of this possession, and Ole Miss just moved the ball easily out past the 30-yard line.
Aggies changed up several bodies defensively as they face 2nd down and 9 for Ole Miss. Play action. Kelly going to air it long. Man out there just off the fingertips of Markel Pack.
Well, there's a penalty flag over by the Ole Miss sideline. Laquan Treadwell was working against Devontae Harris away from the throw.
See if he was held over there on that side of the field.
And Laquan was slow getting up off the ground also. I didn't see. I was watching where the ball was going and didn't see what happened.
Holding against an eligible receiver, number 1 of the defense. The penalty is 10 yards from the previous spot and includes an automatic first down.
So Devontae Harris, the guilty party, and there's Laquan.
Well, he tackled him, and this was a weird play. Devontae Harris, they called holding, but this was not a hold. He literally took his legs out from under him like he was tackling him in the open field. Now, I don't understand what he was doing on that play, but it was not the right thing to do.
Big opening up the middle again. Akeem Judd this time down to the 45-yard line. 13-yard pickup. Good life in the Ole Miss ground game right now. He'll try it again. Maybe 2 yards before Myles Garrett hung on to bring him down. So Ole Miss back on the Aggie side of the field again with a 13-0 lead.
But out there without Laquan Treadwell, their leader in the wide receiver group.
Kelly, nice play fake. Hangs in to the last moment and throws a strike. That boy Joe for the touchdown.
Wow.
A flag down back near the line of scrimmage. Might be coming back. You can tell by the reaction of Chad Kelly, it is coming back.
Personal foul, chop block, number 64 and 21 on the offense in a high-low combination. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat 2nd down.
So that negates a touchdown.
Well, number 21, Akeem Judd, who's played fairly well. He's just trying to help out the center. Ben Still's going to get beat on the inside. And watch Akeem Judd just kind of step in there and try to help. Boy, I don't. That's iffy to me. I just think it was a great rush by Obiaha, who beat the center, and the back stepped in to pick up the block. I didn't think that was a chop block, a high-low combination.
I don't think they were ever engaged at the same time at all. And anyway, it takes away a 43-yard touchdown, and it backs it up inside the 43 for Kelly. This one's batted in the air and intercepted by Garrett. Huge play by Garrett. First tipped the pass and then picked it off.
What a turn of events. Ole Miss had a touchdown, and when we looked at that play, it looked like it should have stood. It should not have been a penalty. And the very next play, they let Myles Garrett go and try to throw the screen, and Garrett shows his athleticism, times his jump, knew it was a screen, and went up and got the football.
Great play. And now the Aggies are in business at the 33-yard line.
What a turn of events, and the Aggies have to capitalize here. And I'll say it again, Christian Kirk, it's time for you to step up and for them to get him the ball.
On the right side, or right there. And again, they go to the outside receiver. They almost gave it back right there. Josh Reynolds mishandled it.
Jake Spavital told us that they have a special place on their script for Christian Kirk, and they have as many as 25 plays or ways to get him the football. Part of it is Ole Miss is paying attention to him tonight, but they also have to try to be creative and get him the football because he is one of the most dynamic guys that we've seen all season when he gets his hands on the ball.
Kyle Allen has missed his last 4 now. There's a draw play on a counter. And White got to the edge, puts his shoulder down, and takes C.J. Hampton out of bounds. Pickup of 8.
Nice execution. They really lured the defense to run to the right, and then came back the outside with the draw play, setting up a 3rd and short.
Last year it was A&M doing the shutting out in the first half. They were shut out 21-0. Right now 13-0. Look at the defense. They're trying to get.
Well, they're holding the ball because A&M substituted. They have to allow the defense time to substitute as well.
Allen trying to throw a wide-out screen, and that one was blown up immediately by Kendarius Webster. Nice play on the corner.
Well, he read it. He was in man coverage on Speedy Noyle. He read the screen and just kind of hugged him like you're guarding a guy in man defense on defense. Get through the screen. Fight your way through the screen and stay with your man. And that's exactly what Webster did.
So a field goal attempt upcoming. Taylor Bertolette, one of the better long field goal kickers in the country. 44-yard attempts. No problem. Finally on the board. Texas A&M with a 44-yard field goal. Cuts the lead down to 10. The NFL tomorrow. First NFL Insider Sunday edition. Trey Morton, Adam Schefter, Louis Riddick have all the latest injury news and breaking stories at 10 o'clock Eastern, followed by Sunday NFL Countdown. Chris Berman and the guys providing in-depth analysis of every game. It all starts tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Well, that was a huge turn of events. I mean, this looked like it was going to be 20-0. You always showed the graphic last year at College Station. Ole Miss was up 21-0 at halftime. Ole Miss is going to get the ball to start the 3rd quarter. They would have had everything on their side, and A&M got the call that went in their favor, and then a great play by Garrett to get him on the scoreboard.
Instead of a 20-point difference, just a 10-point difference after the Myles Garrett interception. And Ole Miss will bring it out with 2:27 remaining in the half. Zubin and the guys are going to have the half coming up shortly.
Indeed, Brad, coming up on the Buick halftime report after the most disastrous day of the Al Golden Era. The question is now for Miami, what's next? Alabama survives, no other way to say it. And Baylor does something today they haven't done all season long. What is it? We'll tell you on the Buick halftime report in just a bit. Back to you at Vaught Hemingway.
Thanks, Zubin. I already gave that one away, what Baylor has done every season, every game except today. But probably weren't listening to me anyway. 12 for 12 to start things off for Chad Kelly. An interception the last time he threw it.
But he also had a nice long touchdown taken off the board.
That one didn't have a lot of steam on it out to Adebayo. I don't know if that slipped out of his hand, kind of wobbled out there, and a loss on the play.
Well, it didn't have a lot of steam, and it was thrown in a position where Adebayo had to kind of go back and turn around and catch it, and that disrupted the timing and enabled A&M to close on the football and stop it for a loss of yardage play.
Second down, 11. And that one batted in the air as well. Alonzo Williams, I think, the guy that got a hand on that one.
Well, he got penetration, first of all. He got too close to Chad Kelly. He slipped right between the center and the guard, and then he was able to time his jump. And right now, Justin Bell is in there at center instead of Ben Still.
Third and 11.
Another one of those areas where Chad Kelly needs to be smart.
See where Treadwell is. He threw it over him and almost into the hands of Armani Watts. So nice stop for Texas A&M. They're going to get football back with full complement of timeouts.
Well, this was not a good decision. Chad Kelly going for Ingram, didn't put enough air under the ball, and very lucky that that one was not intercepted by Armani Watts.
And I think that's what Hugh Freeze is telling him right there. Gleason will punt. First 3 and out suffered by Ole Miss. Noyle and Kirk.
Well, you got to be careful with Christian Kirk here.
And he dropped it. And the ball is still out. Ole Miss might have it back. They do. The long snapper, Will Few.
He had plenty of time to make the catch. He just didn't field it cleanly. And I just think this is a case where Christian Kirk knows he's not been a factor the entire first half, and he's thinking about making a big return here. He wants to make a big play for his team, but he doesn't take care of securing the football first and foremost. And Ole Miss with a golden opportunity here.
And for a long snapper, a dream. Usually you're just snapping the ball and then getting downfield to maybe get in on the tackle. In this case, the fumble recovery. And now Jordan Wilkins blasts his way for 9 yards.
Jordan Wilkins running hard. Again, a little bit bigger than Jalen Walton at 214 pounds.
And the headlines would have wanted the ball put back there because they're going to measure, I think.
Well, and also A&M came out of there with the football. They thought they had a fumble recovery. Armani Watts thinks he ripped it out before he was down.
Maybe he did. His body was on the other A&M player, it appeared. Wow. The head-on collision. And then Watts trying to rip it out of there. What do you think, Bill?
Well, it appears his back is not down yet. So if they replay determines that that ball was pulled and possessed by the defender, they're going to have a good argument for a review and a turnover.
Well, that's what Kevin Sumlin's asking for right now. I want to make sure they take a look and see if he thinks it's their ball.
Now, the replay team has had a good amount of time here, and they've just been buzzed. But the replay team had a good amount of time here to get a look at this. So they're taking a look now. We'll see what they do with it.
It was really a good run by Wilkins.
Early on the field is that the ball was short of the line of gain. The previous play is under review.
Good, strong, powerful run by Watkins, but what an alert play by Armani Watts as he was getting run over and he felt fellow defenders coming to help on the tackle. He instinctively went to rip the ball out.
And I think based on the announcement the referee made, he's going to be a little surprised when he gets over and puts the headset on and sees that replay is going to be possibly reviewing this for a fumble and recovery, which is a reviewable play. So both items are reviewable.
Bill, you never had that happen, right? When you went, oops, I didn't see that one.
It's happened, you know. And earlier on the other review we had, one of the things that came in on that play on the roughing the kicker was replay can review whether the ball was tipped or not, but replay can't review if there was contact before or after the hit on the kicker. So that part of that review wasn't permitted.
This would be a huge boost for Texas A&M. First of all, a touchdown taken off the board that probably should have been a touchdown.
Right.
They go down, they get 3 after the interception, and now it appears they might have a fumble recovery to get the ball back with 3 timeouts and 1:20 to work.
And to, you know, escape the fumble by Christian Kirk on the punt return. So, I mean, if they can get the ball back here and get to the locker room at worst case scenario down 13-3, it's new life for them.
Every time we say worst case scenario, something worse happens. You ever notice that? There's the guy that dropped the ball. And as Todd said, you could tell he was trying to field the ball with his hands and immediately twirl around and head to the opposite side of the field, and he didn't take the ball with him.
Well, he's a very mature guy for a freshman. His mental approach, his preparation, the coaches just say has been unbelievable. We asked, you know, has he hit a wall at any point? He says, no, not at all. I mean, he has been stellar when it comes to that, but he just has not been a factor in the game, and you could just tell he was trying to make a big play.
After further review, the runner lost possession of the ball prior to hitting the ground. Therefore, it was a fumble recovered by Texas A&M. A 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line.
Big play.
Yep.
Again, you You've seen it several times. The officials see it after they measured for what they thought was going to be possible first down, and instead a great play by Monty Watts to rip that ball out before Wilkins hit the deck. And so A&M's got it back at the 14-yard line. Again, they have 3 timeouts and 1:21 to work. Now it's up to Kyle Allen on the offense to try to get him down at least in field goal range. 3 wideouts at the top of your screen. Allen avoided some pressure. Somehow ball tipped. Intercepted by Webster. They give it right back.
Well, this is partly on the receiver and partly on the quarterback. Kyle Allen is trying to extend the play. There's good pressure. He leaves the pocket, but the receiver doesn't come back to the football. Damian Ratley just stands there and waits for the ball to get to him. Watch right here. Instead of going back to the quarterback, and Webster goes and makes a play on the football, knocks it up in the air, and then gets the interception. That receiver needs to keep moving back to the quarterback and shield that defender.
Rebels have it right back, and they open it up with a ground game again, and it's Walton who's got a first down.
And you can see A&M still trying to rip the football out.
Turnovers make such a huge difference.
Well, last year they were +7. It was one of the big parts of their success.
That snap was a little late or something, but Jalen Walton is still running. Puts his head down and gets to the 5.
Boy, Laquan Treadwell blocking on the perimeter, got 2 blocks. He blocked the cornerback Harris, and then he turned around and picked off the linebacker Sean Washington. What a physical specimen on the edge.
Second down, a short 2. And Walton's got a first down, I think, at the 4-yard line. Actually, I think he got to the 3. Let's see where they spot it.
Timeout. First of the half, Ole Miss. This will be a 30-second timeout.
They're going to spot it back at inside the 5, so not going to be a first down.
You know, ironically, Texas A&M played back-to-back games against Arkansas and Mississippi State with no turnovers. Then they had the 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns last week, plus a 4th interception that led to a field goal. And again tonight, having a little trouble taking care of the football.
Allen threw 3 of those that turned into 21 points for Alabama. Kyler Murray, the freshman, threw the other one.
You know, I mentioned Laquan Treadwell blocking on the perimeter. Watch the first down play. He's going to get a block on Devontae Harris, first of all. And then he's going to turn back and just clock the linebacker, Sean Washington. That's not your typical wide receiver.
We had 3 turnovers in a span of about 37, 38 seconds.
Ole Miss still has 2 timeouts, so they can run the football if they want. Because of those timeouts, they've run it pretty well here on a couple plays in a row.
They've got Liggins in there as an extra tight end. 3rd down and 1. Kelly's going to do it himself, but he's not going to get there. Still trying to stretch out with the ball, but he stopped shy. It's going to be 4th down.
Wow.
And what's Ole Miss going to do? They're going to let it wind down and take the field goal as Hugh Freeze says, give me 3 seconds, call the timeout. That's what they do.
Well, I think part of what Hugh is thinking here, we've got to score. We've got to take advantage of the turnover field position, and we get the ball to start the second half. So let's do the smart thing and try to get 3 and then get the ball to start the second half.
Don't forget Monday Night Football hits week 7. The Ravens take on the Cardinals. Coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. So this should be just a chip shot for Gary Wunderlich, who missed one earlier, but then has hit 2 in a row.
And again, the sudden change defense for Texas A&M, John Chavis. And that's a mark of a disciplined, good defense. In a sudden change situation, you come out, you're back against the wall, and once again, they force a field goal attempt instead of giving up a touchdown.
Wunderlich from 22 yards out from the near hash. And it's up and it's perfect. So the Kendarius Webster interception does pay off as the Rebels tack on 3 to end the first half. And a 16-3 lead as they head to the locker room. And we head to Zubin and Joey and Danny in the Buick Halftime Report.
Brad, I want you to know I'm always listening to you. Buick Halftime Report begins under the lights in Piscataway. Joey, Ezekiel Elliott gets the Bucs on the board.
Ezekiel Elliott has 7 carries for 15 yards, but he does get the score. They got to feed Ezekiel moving forward.
In Central Jersey on ABC, Danny, Florida State, Georgia Tech tied at 3. And look at this, the Noles defense coming up big. LaMarcus Brutus.
This is a big play for Florida State's defense. Still struggling with Georgia Tech in that triple option. This play was a huge part of this game, though, early. Florida State needs to close this one out. Georgia Tech, not an easy out.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook punched it in from 2 yards out, and then Justin Thomas. This is the Tech we're used to seeing, right?
Yeah, you just mentioned the option. There it is, Justin Thomas. You got to tackle him. He's leading the team in rushing tonight. He's a dynamic player. Got to get your hands on him.
It's on ESPN.
Pivotal game in the SEC West. Kelly on a naked bootleg throws across his body and got it. Devin Ingram for the touchdown. Ball's on the ground. Ole Miss has got some swagger, and they got the football. This one's batted in the air and intercepted by Garrett.
What a turn of events.
Allen avoided some pressure. Somehow ball tipped. Intercepted by Webster. As the Rebels tack on 3 to end the first half. And we welcome you back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Hilton. Ole Miss trying to rebound from a loss a week ago and doing a good job through 2 quarters. A 13-point lead over the Aggies of Texas A&M. Welcome back to Oxford, everybody. Brad Nessler with Todd Blackledge. Partner, you look at these stats. A&M's offense can't get out of their own way right now.
Well, penalties are hurting them. They haven't gotten Christian Kirk involved. Coming into the game, averaging 195 yards a game all-purpose. Yep. He has 2 touches for -6 yards. The good news for A&M, despite the penalties, despite the turnovers, their defense has played well in their own territory. Ole Miss ran 46 plays. 28 of them were in A&M territory, but they only have 16 points to show for it.
This is 2 weeks in a row Kyle Allen hadn't played very well. Do we see the other kids sometime in the second half?
We might, because what he does bring, Kyler Murray brings a spark to the offense with his ability to extend plays with his feet. So I would say we might see him in the second half.
Rebels get the ball first to start the third quarter as well with the lead. And it'll be out of the end zone, out to the 25 we come, and down to Holly Rowe with Kevin Sumlin a moment ago.
Well, Coach Sumlin, how do you address it with your team when most of your challenges are self-inflicted with penalties and turnovers?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, and it's a poor half of football. The good news is we're in the game. And, you know, we can play a lot better. We're going to have to. And that was the message at halftime. Just settle down. All right, do what we do. Let's play football. Let's correct our own mistakes. Don't worry about Ole Miss. Let's get ourselves right, and we'll be all right.
What's the update on Trey Carson's knee?
He's all right. I mean, he went back in the game. He's a little sore, but he's ready to go.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks.
Ooh, almost a big play by Myles Garrett as Walton almost caught that thing up. Watch this hit and how quick it was.
Well, they're late getting out. He's so explosive. They were trying to bring an interior offensive lineman out to block him, and he just missed him completely. And that's dangerous. He's too good of an athlete to try to block him that way.
A 10-yard loss, 2nd and 20, and Walton's getting it back. A big chunk of it anyways. He goes for 16.
That time they just let him rush up the field, and Myles Garrett was thinking pass, and they ran right up inside of him. Hard to get outside of him, easier to run inside of him.
So it makes the 3rd down achievable. 3rd and 5. Kelly, throw is low, incomplete, and A&M's defense does its job to open up the 3rd quarter.
Well, that's what they needed. They needed to get a good stop, get their offense with a nice field position to start the second half.
Now let's see if Christian Kirk handles this punt or if they try to keep it away from him. Will Gleason, the left-footed punter, is going to have a hard time actually to kick it back across the field to Noyle instead of Kirk, but we'll see. And Kirk has to get everybody out of the way. It rolls out of bounds around the 28-yard line.
Well, Christian Kirk coming into the game 195 yards per game, all-purpose yards, and they have paid great attention to him. They know what kind of player he is, Ole Miss. They're staying with some double coverage. They know where he is. A&M tries to line him up in different spots. They've been very good at that, but so far, Ole Miss very clued in to stopping number 3, and then late in the first half, Christian Kirk trying to get involved and make a big play, mishandles the punt. I would expect him to play much better here in the second half, though.
As Kevin told Holly, Trey Carson in the lineup. There he is in the middle, and a big run on the opening offensive snap for the Aggies in this quarter.
A nice job coming out, trying to establish the run game again. A nice physical power run inside. Nice block by the center, Mike Matthews.
Allen rolling left, squares his body, comes back the other way, and throws it to the Ole Miss sideline.
As long as he was outside the tackle box, it's not intentional grounding. There doesn't have to be a receiver.
The tackle box and threw the ball out of bounds beyond the neutral zone. Next down. Third down.
Fidel Brown was the guy that was applying the pressure on Kyle Allen.
They tried to run the throwback again. They've had guys wide open on that 2 times already. That time, Josh Reynolds was covered, and therefore Kyle Allen had nowhere to go with the football.
He's only hit one of his last 7 passes, Todd, right now. So he's got to warm up, or they're not going to have a chance unless this guy does it for him. Carson got a couple. Trey Elston hit him from the secondary. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Trey Carson had been fitted for a heavy knee brace right before the half, but he's come back out from the locker room with just a thinner brace around the knee, a heavy wrap, so he's got a little bit more mobility. I'm sorry, I can't get it out. A little bit easier to run without it.
38 yards on his 10 carries tonight. They fake it to him. Allen deep. And overshot everybody. Intended for Speedy Noyle. Speedy would have had to have been a lot speedier than that to catch up with that pass.
Well, right now, A&M starting the second half with Christian Kirk, the first couple plays on the sideline. Now he's coming into the ball game.
He's in the slot to the top of your screen.
Little heavier formation, too, with the tight end, Caden Smith, in there as an extra blocker, whether in the run game or in the pass protection.
Carson stops in the hole, cuts back, and got 4. And brings up 3rd down. The Aggies defense did their job. They got the ball back for their offense. Now it's up to Kyle Allen and the offense to pick up at least 6 more yards and keep things going here, trailing by 13. He has to pull the trigger in a hurry, and it's knocked out of there by Trey Elston.
Well, he was trying to go to Caden Smith, and it's a bad throw. He threw it behind Caden Smith, and that's why Elston was able to make a play. If the ball is thrown outside, it's a completion. It's thrown behind, and it actually hits Elston in the face. It just was not a good throw on that 3rd down play.
So brings on Drew Kaiser again to punt. That's Collins Moore at the 10-yard line.
I think we may see Kyler Murray sooner than later.
I was just thinking that, partner. And that's not a good kick. Bounces out of bounds around the 21-yard line. So just 2.5 minutes into quarter number 3. No change in the score. Ole Miss leading by 13.
When you're
a very scary scene for Ole Miss as the field goal unit ran off the field. Sophomore Christian Morris, number 71, for Ole Miss grabbed his neck as he was running to the sideline and then just collapsed. Witnesses I spoke to in the crowd said he was yelling, "My neck, my neck." Immediately, athletic trainers and doctors ran out of the locker room where they'd gone for halftime and saw to his care. He has been taken by stretcher to the Baptist Memorial Hospital. He was immobilized on a backboard. I will update you when we get information.
Well, that is scary, and we wish Christian the best. Man, didn't see that happen at the field goal. He was a left tackle on the field goal play, so we'll keep you posted what we can find out. Evan Ingram, the tight end, gets 8 or 9 more.
You know, Chad Kelly, when we talked to Matt Luke, he said the thing we need him to do is make good decisions, pick his spots when to try to make a big play, and I think he's done that tonight. Hasn't thrown for a lot of yards, but he's been high percentage completion.
He was the Aggies defense bowing their necks a little bit again and preventing Walton from getting the first down, and it'll bring up 3rd down. There's Chad's numbers. He's gone deep several times, but not been able to connect with Attaboy Joe and Treadwell. Cody Core, he went deep to him one time too and overshot him.
Last week in the loss at Memphis, he threw for 372 yards. Wow, we have a wholesale substitution, including Chad Kelly. So Liggins going to come in at the quarterback spot on this 3rd down and short situation.
Liggins is 302 pounds. That's why they put him in there. The last time he was in there, he handed off. See what he does this time. And he did it again, and they lost about 5. Great play by Armani Watts. He's having a good game.
Well, they tried to fool him again, you know, and show Liggins, and Armani Watts just slipped right inside the block. They had a tight end there to block him, number 89, Taz Zettergen. And Armani Watts just split the 2 tight ends and made the play in the backfield. Outstanding play.
That's Gary Wunderlich in to punt this time. And Christian Kirk, the lone returner, back inside the 30. Wunderlich, the kicker. Maybe he should be the punter. Not bad. And still rolling.
That's called flipping the field.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That almost flipped it from one end to the other. Inside the 3-yard line. I guess he passed the Wunderlich test as a punter. What a kick. 72 yards.
Did anybody catch that play?
No.
Okay, we're going to act like we're debating about it. You two do the bouncy football thing. You rub your head like it's a real tough call. No, that looks like you're having a migraine. I'm going to break the huddle confidently.
Mike's on! First down!
Save big with State Farm.
AT&T presents the strongest of the strong.
These all look like
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy, and Outback Steakhouse. Hurry in for steak and seafood pairings starting at just $14.99.
That's the construction of the Rebels' brand new basketball arena. The pavilion at Ole Miss set to open January 7th. Andy Kennedy, good coach, good team. Sean Farnham and Shannon Spake and I'll probably be down here sometime for Super Tuesday this winter in a brand new building.
One of the many stars we saw at the Mesquite Chop House last night.
Indeed. And incomplete. And Kyle Allen's troubles continue.
That one got deflected, you know, and really I'm impressed by the Ole Miss defense. When you consider there's a deflection by Haynes back in the ball game. When you consider that they fully expected to have Robert Nkemdiche playing tonight and found out this morning he wasn't, they have rallied together and played extremely well.
Allen throws on the run from his own end zone, and it's too low for Christian Kirk, and now it's going to be 3rd and 10. And if he puts another one up, it will be again from his own end zone. He's hit 1 of his last 11 passes. And to be honest with you, I think maybe we'd have seen the freshman had the field position been better.
I completely agree. They need a spark. I mean, they need something positive to happen offensively. And they're hoping Kyle Allen can give it to him on this 3rd down play.
There is Kyler Murray. Super fast, super quick. Better runner than passer maybe, but Kyle Allen, who had a great start to this season, the last 2 weeks has really struggled. throwing deep from his own end zone and over to the Ole Miss sideline again. I guess the closest receiver was, to be honest.
He was throwing a deep route, and the receiver broke it to the outside. A little miscommunication, and Kyle Allen's struggling a little bit. There's just no two ways around it. He's not a confident guy right now. Even to throw to Kirk, he had him open, and he threw it to the dirt. It's just not a confident thrower at this particular point.
We mentioned Kaiser's the best punter in the conference, but he doesn't have the normal amount of room to take the snap. But he did get the kick away, and it's a good one. Moore's going to have a chance, though, from the 34-yard line. Hesitates now, comes forward, made a couple of guys miss, and flags fly in as he hit the deck around the 39-yard line. 64-yard punt. That's what they needed. And now, if there's a penalty to boot, that will switch the field again for Texas A&M.
During the return, block in the back, receiving team, number 23. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Tell you what, you can't ask for much more than that from your own 2-yard line or wherever they were.
Give yourself a fighting chance. Your defense has played pretty well. Even though Ole Miss has 265 yards of offense, they have played well, particularly when the ball has crossed the 50 and gotten into their own territory. They have really played well.
Well enough that in 6 plays, Ole Miss has a total of 8 yards and 2 3-and-outs here in the opening 5 minutes of this third quarter. See how they do from the 30. Play action. Kelly throws a dart to his tight end again, Ingram, and he's close to a first down.
Ingram, much more of a factor tonight than he's been the last few weeks. He's had an outstanding career, and he's a matchup problem because he's more of a wide receiver than he is your typical end-of-the-line tight end. Has wide receiver skills, and they're utilizing him pretty well tonight.
Closing in on the all-time tight end mark for yardage. He might have gone over it, in fact, on that last catch that he had. Pick up a 3 for Akeem Judd. There we go. Most receiving yards by an Ole Miss tight end. Last year he caught 38 passes for the Rebels and was a preseason All-SEC choice, and he looks like it tonight. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication between Stringfellow and Kelly on that one.
Yeah, I think Kelly was trying to throw a back shoulder fade and working on Nick Harvey out there, and Stringfellow cut the route off short.
So it brings up 2nd down and 10 at the 42. Kelly squares his body and goes deep down the middle at Treadwell. Got him, and he's gone. Touchdown. .58 yards on the touchdown pass. Kelly to Treadwell.
Well, they've run the bootleg, and they've thrown it to Ingram, and they've thrown short, and that time they showed the same action, but he stopped, set his feet, and threw a great throw across the field to Treadwell.
Extra point is good by Wonderlic. The longest play from scrimmage allowed by Texas A&M all year. And it's a guy that's been doing it for the Rebels all year, having a sensational season. Deep ball that time was right on the money. And on the other end, not many better than number 1. 23-3 Rebels.
Ravens Cardinals at 8:15 Monday on ESPN.
Chad Kelly's finding success tonight, brought to you by Expedia.
Well, they ran the bootleg on the first play, and they hit Ingram short. This time, they're going to go deep with Treadwell and watch the safety get caught looking at the shorter routes. They ran the bootleg. Instead of throwing underneath, he sets his feet and he throws it deep. And no better guy to throw to than Laquan Treadwell. and a huge touchdown. Chad Kelly has waited to pick his spots to throw downfield. That was beautifully done.
Sure was. 70-yard drive in just 4 plays. The big one, 58 yards for the touchdown. Speedy Noyle from his own 2 on a kick return. And out to the 23, maybe 24-yard line as we check in with Zubin again.
Brad, a lot of people wondering why Urban Meyer waited so long to go to J.T. Barrett. Well, apparently it's been worth the wait. Hitting Michael Thomas in Piscataway, where everybody is wearing scarlet and gray in the crowd, no matter who you're rooting for, right? It's all Ohio State tonight on ABC at the half. Back to you.
Yeah, I really felt like when they made that switch that this Ohio State offense is going to start to kick it into a higher gear. Yeah. J.T. Barrett is just a great leader. And nothing against Cardell, but I think J.T. Barrett's the right guy.
James White might have gotten a yard. Tony Bridges from his cornerback position made the hit. Talked about Kyle Allen last week against Alabama. Again here tonight. Just not on like he was earlier in the season. And this one, Kirk in and out of his hands. He's not having a good night either.
He's not.
Remember, this is the first time these guys have been out of the state of Texas all year. We mentioned when we did them early in the season, they wouldn't leave their home state until October 24th. It's October 24th.
That's right.
And they're a little rattled, I think, right now.
First true road game. Even the 2 games away from Kyle Field, one was in Houston and one was in Dallas. It might as well have been a home game for Texas A&M.
We did both of those. It's the latest true road game for a team since 1928. Believe it or not. Allen, deep sideline. That is intercepted.
Nope, out of bounds, but beautifully played. Nonetheless, beautifully played.
Cam Ordway almost came up with a pick.
Ordway's a freshman. He was going to redshirt. They had to take the red shirt off of him when T. Shepard left the football team. And he makes a beautiful play here, guarding Josh Reynolds right on the sideline.
So Kaiser to kick again. Right now a funny looking set. Now they switch into their punt formation. They got close to Kaiser that time as well. At the 26 is Collins Moore. Maybe got a couple on the return. Got time here for our Aflac trivia question for the Knights.
Aflac.
Vaught Hemingway Stadium opened in 1915. Celebrating 100th anniversary of this facility. It's the 3rd oldest FBS stadium still in use. Which 2 stadiums are older? I could give you a hint, but that wouldn't be fair. One of our family networks is carrying one of the games tonight involving one of those other stadiums. So after the long touchdown pass, Kelly and company with a 20-point lead and the ball back at the 28-yard line. Little quick opening draw, and it opened up pretty good for Akeem Judd. Running game tonight for Ole Miss. I kind of thought that was their weak link, but tonight they're popping some through.
Well, they're using a couple different guys. You know, and they don't have a ton of yards, but 149 yards is good for them, you know, and it's not just Jalen Walton. It's been a little Akeem Judd. It's been Jordan Wilkins. Been a nice mixture.
They came in averaging 167 a game. They only had 40 last week against Alabama, Memphis rather. And Judd bounces it outside. Nice run and a good stiff off the end. He's got a first down.
Well, we've seen Evan Ingram as a receiver. Watch him as a blocker here. He's going to lead out, get the nice cut block on the linebacker, Sean Washington. Evan Ingram's having a nice football game tonight for this Rebel offense.
Brandon Williams ran him out of bounds, and I think he's still on the sideline. And you might want to take a shot at a corner that's not usually a starter out there. They come the other way, though, at a boy Joe. And Quincy's got it to the 45, almost the 46-yard line. And they're working on Kyle Allen on the sideline. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, guys, they have a special doctor of sports chiropractic medicine, Vincent Henderson, who has been working on Kyle Allen over here. He gave him a neck adjustment, but now working on that right throwing arm of Kyle Allen, something just not feeling quite right for the quarterback tonight. Dr. Henderson's been very busy over here, guys. He's the busiest guy on the A&M sideline.
I'd say so. There's the guy that we kind of expected we were going to see if things didn't improve for Kyle Allen, and that's Kyler Murray. Boy, their balls popping all over the place. Yeah. First, Chad Kelly almost didn't handle the snap, and then the reception by Markel Pack, he had to catch it a couple of times.
And right now, for Ole Miss, the only thing you're thinking about is, or the biggest thing is ball security. Don't give the ball up now and invite A&M to get back into this football game. You've got control your possession of the football.
Comes a blitz on Kelly and tried to throw the back shoulder to Cody Core. He didn't turn that way. And that was Brandon Williams back in there who made the play. Switch from offense to defense, as Todd was telling you earlier, and with that, he's still a captain on the defense. That's how much his teammates think of him.
Very unselfish guy, made the switch for the betterment of the team, and has played very well. I mean, not just sacrificially. I mean, he's made a difference to their defense.
You know, Christian Kirk would like to just cleanly handle a punt return, maybe, to try to make something happen. He's not going to get a chance here on a fair catch inside the 10-yard line. Well, we asked you our Aflac trivia question a little while ago. Vaught Hemingway Stadium, built in 1915 here. Third oldest FBS stadium still in use. Which two are older? I gave you a hint. Because Florida State is playing Georgia Tech at Bobby Dodd Stadium on ESPN2, I believe. Davis Wade, Mississippi State, which we've spent a lot of time at over the years. Also,
well, they're playing at home tonight, too, against Kentucky.
And, of course, Mississippi State and Ole Miss get together at the end of every year in the Egg Bowl. Kyle, you've hit one of your last 14. I'm pretty sure you're aware of that.
Let's see if that adjustment on the sideline helped.
And they're going to be adjusting Trey Carson.
Well, I would say we still got a lot of football left in this game, but the question of did the Ole Miss team find their swagger again? I think we can say they did to this point. Their defense has played very aggressively, and they look more like the defense that was on the field last year for the majority of the season.
Remember, last year they had Tony Connor and they had Cody Pruitt, and those dudes, they're playing without Kendichi tonight, and they played very well in his absence. And another good play defensively by Tony Bridges.
The other guy that they're playing without that was really a good football player, Isaac Gross, a nose tackle that has been out the whole year. He was hurt in August. Very disruptive inside lineman. This team led the nation in scoring defense last year. This year haven't been so successful, but tonight putting the clamps down.
And the Land Sharks are smelling blood right here on 3rd down and 8. Allen somehow got squared away to throw to his own sideline, incomplete.
Well, they just don't have any rhythm offensively. You know, it's Kyle Allen, it's Christian Kirk, and they just don't have any rhythm. And Kyle Allen has played some outstanding football games. I mean, he had career-high 387 total yards against Mississippi State. He had 358 yards passing against Arkansas. He's played some good football, but tonight he is just out of sorts and out of rhythm.
Third straight 3 and out for the Aggies. And so Kaiser will have to punt in his own end zone again. Collins Moore, fair catch called for. I don't know if he lost it in the lights or just didn't want to catch it, but at any rate, it goes out of bounds over around the 38-yard line. Don't forget, tonight after our game here on ESPN, it's Washington and number 10 Stanford. Kevin Hogan doing a good job. Stanford looking really strong after that loss early in the season.
Yeah.
And up in the top 10 again. That's in Palo Alto following our game.
Well, you know, the thing is, as we've watched college football this season, there's no dominant team out there. And it's a matter of who's getting better week by week. That's what happened to Ohio State last year. I mean, they got better and better as the season went on. And Stanford appears to be one of those teams that's getting better and better each week.
Welcome into our booth there for a second. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, that was Clint Deans and Pat McGrath, Bill LeMonnier, Kristen Keith. Full booth. And I mean full. Not the biggest booth we've ever been in. But
double-decker.
Yeah, it's a double-decker tonight.
Movement. I think that's the third time we've had Aaron Morris jump early, number 72.
Miles Garrett gives him the jitters over there a little bit.
You know what, though? They've done a good job.
Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. Remaining second down.
They've done a good job on Miles Garrett and Deshaun Hall. Garrett had the one great play when he came in and got the tip and the interception, but for the most part, they've neutralized those two guys. Good balance for the Mississippi offense. 157 yards rushing, 208 passing.
And Jalen Walton, short gain.
Jalen Walton, the ball carrier.
We approach the 5-minute mark, and now here comes one of those defensive ends. Deshaun Hall back in. So is Miles Garrett. They got a quick breather.
Yeah,
what they think to be a passing down here, 3rd and 4. Empty backfield, so it will be a pass unless Chad Kelly runs it himself. And timeout taken by A&M.
Timeout. First of the half, Texas A&M.
And we'll take the timeout as well. Just under 5 minutes remaining, third quarter. Still 23-3 Rebels.
On Wisconsin!
Huskers!
Concordia!
Gauchos!
And Texas A&M and Ole Miss 23-3. After the timeout, 4:54 remaining in the third quarter. This will be a big play for the A&M defense. They can get the ball back. And if they get the ball back, we'll wonder if we'll see the other number 10 at the controls or the freshman, Kyler Murray. He doesn't even have his helmet in the vicinity, so I guess he doesn't think he's coming in. Chad Kelly on third down. Quick throw is complete to midfield to Markel Pack, and they'll move the chains.
Well, we talked about the matchup. Tunsil on Garrett. Very few guys can go one-on-one and hold their own. Laramie Tunsil, considered the best tackle prospect in college football, does his job on Miles Garrett. And Chad Kelly does his job getting the first down throw.
And getting it out of there in a hurry. Quick pass, first down at midfield. Ingram in the backfield, the tight end. Kelly's going the other way with his pass out to Attaboy Joe. And he tight ropes the sideline and got about 7 as we check in with Holly.
Well, Laramie Tunsil and Miles Garrett started jawing the very first play of this game. Two good guys recognizing they would have a great battle tonight. After every play, you can see them exchange dap, slap hands, talk to each other. They're enjoying this matchup out there. For people who are wondering if Tunsil wouldn't play and be worried about getting injured just to go to the draft, I don't think so. He's enjoying this challenge tonight.
Great competitors, both of them.
Nice run block in that time to get Jalen Walton another first down.
Well, this is something Ole Miss has not had in their 2 losses, and that's balance with their running game. Only 40 yards rushing against Memphis. In their other loss to Florida, they only had 69 yards rushing on 33 carries. Tonight, they've got great balance, 164 yards rushing. Chad Kelly making good decisions with the football, and they have this A&M defense back on her heels a little bit.
Jalen Walton's got 83 of that yardage. Kelly, that one almost picked up by Devontae Harris. Should have had it.
Yeah, that was well played by Devontae Harris. Treadwell didn't know where he was. He thought he was going to be walking into the end zone. Harris got behind him and came over the top. Actually, Attaboy Joe was the intended receiver. Well played by Devontae Harris.
Brings up second down at 10. Just outside the 36. Play action. Kelly fires to the sideline, too high, intended for DeMaurier Stringfellow.
Well, he was under pressure. He threw that ball knowing he was going to get hit. Quaylen Cunningham, number 9, was right in there on top of him, and that ball kind of sailed on him.
Ole Miss tonight, at this point anyway, 20 points under their average, but we got a whole quarter and some to go. But they have done a nice job on the ground, as you can see. With over a quarter to go, they're almost on their average there. Kelly in trouble, runs up in the middle of the pocket and threw into traffic and had it intercepted by Armani Watts. Big play by Watts, who's had a big night.
Well, this started out as a good decision for Chad Kelly, stepping up in the pocket. It looked like he was just going to try to run and get what he could. And at the last minute, he tried to make a throw off balance into traffic. And those things don't usually work out well.
That's one of those plays, and you talked about it earlier. They always have one of those where you go, Chad, you shouldn't have done that. You know, if it's one play, whether it's trying to get it on the ground or trying to throw into a tight window, and that was too tight. Now it's up to Texas A&M's offense, and it's still Kyle Allen at the controls. Fakes it to Christian Kirk and then tried to throw it to him and threw it way out in front of him.
Well, part of the thing about bringing Kyler Murray into a game like this, Ole Miss is kind of an unorthodox defense. They line up and bring a lot of exotic kind of blitzes and pressures. That was one of the things that Kevin Sumlin was concerned about, his young quarterback playing against Arizona State. Very similar style defensively.
And that is 12 straight incompletions.
But he just doesn't even look close on throws right now. I feel for the guy. I mean, he's trying hard.
You've never had one of those kind of games, have you?
Gosh, yeah, I have.
Third and 10. And that's incomplete as well. I was kidding around with Todd because he's never had a game where somebody's taken him the other way on him. Or has he?
Well, yeah.
This is 84. One of 4 interceptions that were turned for touchdowns in a single game against the Seahawks. That's still an NFL record. You didn't throw all 4 of them.
No, I didn't throw all 4 of them. Just one of them. But Kenny Easley's the guy that hit me as I was throwing that. You know, one of the great players on that Seattle defense, Jacob Green. I saw him on the field before the game. He works for Texas A&M in their development office. He was a great player, too.
And the punt fielded at the 7. And back to about the 10-yard line. Zubin's got an update in the studio.
Brad, check this out. Everett Golson had not had a turnover in his young, brief Florida State career until here. All sorts of issues in the end zone. Jamal Golden comes up with it. Can't really blame him, though it'll go down in the stat sheet as a pick. It's on ESPN2. Knowles with a slim lead. Back to you.
Still a shot there for Georgia Tech at home. That would straighten out a month of frustration for the Yellow Jackets.
Florida State's one of those teams, kind of like Ohio State. They keep winning, but they're not impressing people. You know, they're just not seem to be hitting their stride, even though I think Golson has played extremely well.
And Dalvin Cook has been big time for them. Attaboy Joe with the reception. Laquan Treadwell out there throwing blocks again. I love watching him when he doesn't have his hands on the ball.
Yeah. He likes to play the game. I mean, he's a football player. He likes all the aspects of playing. Some receivers only like it when the ball's coming their way. He likes everything about it.
He's very soft-spoken, but when he says something, even his teammates quiet down. We found that out in the meeting yesterday. He started saying something, and at the time we were talking with Mike Hilton, and Mike just kind of looked over and went, okay, I'm not going to say anything. Laquan's talking now. Second down at 4. And that's Wilkins. And Wilkins breaks into the secondary. Across the 35-yard line, first down, a pickup of his jersey number, 22.
See, if the end goes in, the linebacker has to come out. Somebody has to scrape outside. Ole Miss has had some big runs against A&M's defense just because of a missed assignment, I think, more than anything else. You have to account for all the gaps, and A&M 2 or 3 times tonight has not accounted for that outside gap. and Ole Miss has made him pay for it.
Another first down on the ground. The clock working its way under 2 minutes before this snap. And this time Wilkins trying to get away from Jarrett Johnson. Picked up 3 more yards. Wilkins a much bigger back than Jalen Walton. 6'1", 214. They're going to be happy with their ground game if it continues to work like this tonight. They got the big fella in there again as an extra tight end, Jeremy Liggins.
Well, right now, Ole Miss needs to think about working clock too.
Yeah.
You know, clock is on their side.
Chad Kelly taking his time. This one's a loss. Nice play by Deshaun Hall. For the first time we've called his number a loss of 4.
Well, both of these ends are so fast, and if they time the snap count and get off the line of scrimmage, they're hard to block. That time Sean Rawlings, the right tackle, just couldn't get enough of a piece of Deshaun Hall. Deshaun Hall, when he came on his recruiting visit to Texas A&M, he was 208 pounds. He was a basketball player who became a football player, and now he's up to about 260.
Big guy for somebody whose nickname is Day-Day. Kelly high and behind his intended receiver Markel Pack. Donovan Wilson was there in coverage, and it'll be a punting situation for Ole Miss.
Well, that time it was Myles Garrett that got to the quarterback. Deshaun Hall made the play on second down. Myles Garrett shifted down late on that play and worked on the guard instead of the tackle Tunsil, and got to Chad Kelly and put a good shot on him.
Again, it's Wunderlich in. He's the long ball punter at this point. Had a 72-yarder the last time he hit one. This is a fair catch taken by Christian Kirk at the 15-yard line. 47-yard kick. That has not been a good night for number 10, to say the least.
No, he just has not gotten on rhythm. He started off okay, but he's missed some open guys. And then, you know, he's still a young quarterback. That's the thing you have to remember about him, is this is only his 12th career start. And this Ole Miss defense has kind of had the best of it with him tonight. He's been off target, and he just hasn't ever gotten into a rhythm. 11 for 31 and only 90 yards.
He's 8-3 in those previous 11 starts, but tonight has been really a struggle. And I, quite frankly, am surprised that we haven't seen Kyler Murray. And Kevin Sumlin's got to be thinking, you know what, if we just get a touchdown, we're still in this game, and this maybe is the guy that's going to throw it around and get it done for us. But there's a talented young man wearing number 1 over there that's not getting a shot, at least not so far. And that might have been the last play of the third quarter, although the clock stops. I didn't see Davis down. Carlos Davis, junior cornerback.
You know, part of the thing with Kevin Sumlin and Kyle Allen and Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator right now, you know, Kyle Allen didn't have a good game last week, but he handled himself like a man. He went before the press on Tuesday. He took responsibility for the game. He came back out, and I think Kevin Sumlin is, and in some ways, he knows his quarterback's struggling, but he also feels like this has got to be my guy the rest of this year. Yeah. You know, and for us to finish strong, I got to keep this guy's confidence up, and he's got to fight through having a bad night on the road and see if he can come out on the other side and still be a good leader for my team.
Barring a penalty, this will be the last play of the half. The third quarter, beg your pardon. About 4 yards for James White will bring the third period to a close. And it's all Ole Miss right now. A&M's got some trouble, down 20 as we head to the fourth at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford. Watching ESPN College Football Primetime presented by Hilton as we head to the fifth quarter. Brad Nessler, Ty Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our ESPN crew. It's all Ole Miss right now, and Kyle Allen, 14 straight incompletions. They need him. They need points. They need him in a hurry. They've got a quarter left to try to do something about being down 20. 3 wideouts to Kyle's right. They keep it on the ground. Trey Carson brought down by Christian Russell. And looks like he got the first down.
A&M in the third quarter ran 20 offensive plays and gained 27 yards. And that is just so uncharacteristic for Kevin Sumlin's team. And even for Kyle Allen, like I mentioned, he's had some big-time games already this year.
They came in averaging almost 37 points a game and 450-plus yards in total offense a game. That screen pass is just completely blown up by the Rebel defense led by Channing Ward again.
Well, and Trey Elston is having a heck of a ball game, number 7. He has made a lot of plays from his rover position. 4 interceptions on the season. He's there with Channing Ward to make the play. Second leading tackler on the team. One of their real leaders.
Has a couple touchdowns off those 4 interceptions on the year. Allen into traffic again, and Elston almost had interception number 5.
4 interceptions, 2 returned for touchdowns. And he was looking at number 5 right there, like you said.
And that rover spot, he was roving and hunting and almost had it. Now it's 3rd down at 13. The last 2 completions that Kyle Allen's even had have been from minus yardage. Deep ball, man there. Oh, what a hit by Elston again on Speedy Noyle.
Well, Kyle Allen let this ball hang in the air a little bit too long. He underestimated the speed of Elston. He thought Speedy Noyle would run under that easily, and Elston made a good break on the ball. Again, Elston playing that rover position is back there in the back with his eyes fixed on the quarterback. And as soon as he saw him turn towards Noyle, he made a break for the ball.
And that swagger we were talking about the Ole Miss defense is back.
It's back.
And it is growing throughout this game right now. Kaiser. Nice kick back to the 16-yard line goes Collins Moore. And falls around the 24 with 13:52 remaining in the football game. All Ole Miss right now up 20.
I thought you said you were going to test drive this Buick first.
I am test driving it for 24 hours.
Nice Buick. I guess the test drive last night went well.
Actually, I'm still on it.
You know we're test driving this Buick for 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
Test washing it.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know when you're done. I'm going to take it test shopping.
The Buick 24 Hours of Happiness Test Drive on your terms and schedule. Current lessees, switch to Buick and get a low-mileage lease on this Buick Enclave for around $341 a month.
Ole Miss trying to rebound. The SEC on ESPN from their loss to Memphis last week. Hugh Freeze was telling us, you know, it's disappointing when you just don't perform, but the expectations are high around here. Well, I wonder why. Because in 4 years, that's how it's gone for Hugh. They just get better every season. As we said, they got as high as number 3 in the country earlier in the year. Have a win over Alabama. Now, keep in mind, Todd and I were talking about this during one of the breaks. We said probably an elimination game in the West. Whoever loses this won't keep pace. Now, Ole Miss has beaten Alabama. If Alabama beats LSU, and if Ole Miss keeps rolling, you never know.
And Ole Miss still has their big rivalry game with LSU ahead of them. So a win tonight for Ole Miss. As disappointing as that Memphis game was a week ago, it had nothing to do with their SEC.
Right.
And so they have rebounded nicely tonight.
They'll be 3-1 if they win this game in the next 13.5 minutes. And again, even though they never huddle, the Rebels up to the ball and trying to use as much clock as possible. Chad Kelly's been normally taking the snap at about 6 seconds, 7 in this case, and he's going to run it. And Chad through some traffic, took a big hit from Justin Evans.
That was a design quarterback run.
He's done a nice job running the football this year.
You know, we showed you that bar graph and the improvement under Hugh Freeze. A win tonight makes him bowl eligible for the 4th year in a row. And the 8 years previous to Hugh Freeze, only twice were they bowl eligible. 3 different coaches, only 2 times.
Flair out to Walton. Jalen's got another first down. these guys, Kevin Sumlin and Hugh Freeze, in their 4th years at their respective schools and in the SEC, but buddies for a long time. Used to go to coaches conventions. Hugh says, I'm not the most outgoing guy in the world. I don't really like those things. But he'd sit down every year with Kevin Sumlin. He said, you mind if we just talk ball? He said, now we talk just about every week. We don't talk ball anymore because they're friends. And it's always tough when you're coaching against one of your buddies.
And he really felt like when he was a high school coach and Kevin Sumlin was a college coach, he really reached out to him and kind of took him under his wing. And now they are sharing similar success in the SEC West.
Yep.
Well, I would say, obviously, the Ole Miss defense has played with swagger tonight, and I think the return of Laramie Tunsil has been good news for Ole Miss as well. It's allowed Fawn Cooper to move back to the right side. It's brought some stability to the offensive line and some peace of mind to the quarterback, Chad Kelly, as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Kelly knows that line side is going to be okay. That is the wrong direction, Jordan Wilkins. Let's check in with Zubin.
Safely say this is going to be the studio update of the night. Here's Aguayo from 56 to try to win it for the Noles. Near automatic, except there. It's blocked, and then look what happens. Lance Austin, sophomore DB, with an upperclassman heady type move and the athleticism to the house. Rockin' Bobby Dodd. Florida State falls from the ranks of the unbeaten in spectacular fashion. Brad, back to you.
Oh, wow. Wow. Almost like the end of the Auburn-Alabama game a couple years ago. Here's Kelly. Want to throw a screen, and Deshaun Hall's all draped all over him. Did get the pass over to the sideline.
They tried to throw the screen. It was defended. Chad Kelly knew he couldn't make the throw.
Yeah, Wilkins never got out of the backfield.
Yeah, he was grabbed by Obiaha.
So Wunderlich will punt again. Both Noel and Kirk await on the other end for the Aggies. And Noel's got to get out of the way of this one. Going to roll inside the 10. Talk about doing a nice job of getting it inside the 10 by Wunderlich. A couple of times he's done that now. A 72-yarder and then a 50-yarder right there. A&M's offense has got to get in gear. They trail by 20.
At Hilton, we say,
well, guys, you wondered if we would see a new quarterback for Texas A&M and if it would be Kyle Murray. Well, new quarterback, but it is third-string quarterback Jake Hubenak. He has only played 6 snaps this year against Ball State. A big move right here on the goal line for Texas A&M. I've been observing Kyler Murray on the sideline. Does not appear to be hurt at this time, so it seems like Hubenak just got the call from offensive coordinator Jake Spavital.
Wow. Okay.
Hubenak a little bit older, a little bit more seasoned as a player, not necessarily in snaps as an A&M quarterback. I'll explain after the play.
They work from the 8-yard line. He's going to throw a completion, a short one to Carson, and he got back to the line of scrimmage and gained 1.
Hubenak's out of Georgetown, Texas. He was originally a walk-on at Oklahoma State in 2013, and then he went to Blinn Junior College, was a teammate of wide receiver Damian Ratley there. Played there as a freshman, has 3 years of eligibility at A&M, and I remember when we got ready for the first game, you know, everybody was talking about Kyler Murray, but the coaches made a point of saying, you know, we think we have 3 really good quarterbacks because this guy's a good one too.
Fatty, the right tackle with a false start, so they're going the wrong direction again inside the 5-yard line as they walk it off. And it's not making it any easier for their third-string quarterback. You saw the graphic on Kyle Allen, 22 straight pass plays that didn't gain anything or were incomplete. And that one, they're lucky they didn't get picked off. Flags all over the place again.
Well, here's the question now. If this was a holding call, the throw was out of the end zone. Have to see what the call is here.
See Mike Matthews, the center, the veteran center, talking to Ken Williamson.
Ole Miss right now defensively, they're just thinking, let's not give up any cheap ones.
Chop block, offense, number 65 and 78 in a high-low combination. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat, second down.
It's the second time we've seen that call made tonight. One we didn't agree with. We'll get a look at this one.
Left side of your screen, 65 and 78. Now that is a chop block.
You bet.
That's textbook chop block.
Yeah. Now the music's getting louder. The fans are getting louder. The Aggies are getting closer to their own end zone. Nice throw and catch out to Christian Kirk. Is that his first completion, first reception? It is.
I think it is. He had one carry for minus yardage. And now his first catch for 7 yards. So again, coming into the game, 195 yards per game, all-purpose yardage. They haven't kicked the ball to him. One time they did kick it to him. He fumbled it.
Extra rusher coming. Throw is low, but caught by Christian Kirk. So back-to-back receptions. And that one, that's a first down.
A couple nice throws by Hubenek deep in his territory. Kirk a little hobbled at the end of that play.
First down at the 19. Time is of the essence. 9:20 to play in the fourth quarter.
Well, again, if you're Ole Miss and Dave Womack, the defensive coordinator, you still want to get after the quarterback, but you want to keep everything in front.
Carson, a tough couple of yards, maybe 3.
You want to make them earn everything. Don't give up a cheap pass over your head.
As Todd said, a little bit of a limp when Christian Kirk got up, and they're working on his right knee over there on the sideline. Second down at 7. The play action and the throws at dandy to Ricky Seals-Jones. So Hubenek put it right on him.
Yep.
Pick up a 20. There haven't been a lot of 20-plus plays in the ball game. 2 passes that have gone that far. One was about 50-something, and that one for 20. So no explosive plays out of the Aggies, and they need all the explosion they can get right now.
A very talented passer, Jake Hubenek.
And across the middle, and so the umpire hits the deck.
Last year at Blinn Junior College, he threw for 4,052 yards and 47 touchdowns, and he only played in 8 games. So part of the reason maybe Kevin Sumlin went to him is he's more of a pure passer.
Yep.
Kyler Murray more of a dual threat guy, and they don't really need a dual threat guy right now. They need somebody to throw the football and try to get him back quickly.
On 2nd and 8. Fires again, caught by Noyle. A 9-yard pickup. Beg your pardon, 7-yard pickup. Short of the first down.
Again, Texas A&M, they've run 64 plays. They've only averaged 3.1 yards per play. Ole Miss has done a great job of not giving up the big plays.
And they're not going to get the first down there either. Victor Evans makes a nice play from off the edge defensively.
On the tackle, number 14.
This Ole Miss defense will get Robert Kemdici back probably next game. Tony Connor, they're hoping to get him back at some point. C.J. Johnson, they got back tonight, and he's played quite a few snaps. Number 10, he's out there right now.
Came back from a torn meniscus and came back in a hurry after getting that thing fixed. Didn't think he'd be back this quickly. And again, that Landshark defense of Ole Miss with the stop on James White.
Boy, I don't know if he got that.
James White. Penalty flag down.
There's some jawing going on. Affetti having some words with the Ole Miss defense.
Well, they're away from the play. It was an inside run. Away from the play, a wide receiver and a DB over by the A&M sideline. We're into a little pushing match at the end of the play. And I think that's what the flag was. Not sure who it's going to go on or if it was a offsetting type deal. but it was completely away from the action.
It was a matter of getting the numbers straight on who was involved, I guess.
I think it was Carlos Davis was the defender. Again, that was the closest to the A&M sideline.
I didn't think that was even worth measuring. But
well, they measured, but the flag is still on the field.
Right. So it's not a first down. That part we have. Now let's straighten out the rest of it.
A&M's defense is on the field, and maybe they're going to pick the flag up. I don't know.
It's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct. I think that's what they're writing down, right, Bill? The names and numbers, because 2 unsportsmanlike conducts and you're out of the game.
Yeah, that's what it looks like they're doing. They're making sure of their numbers here. If you do get a second unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, it disqualifies you from the game.
Here's the call.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, Ole Miss number 13, Texas A&M number 19, first for both players. Those fouls offset, the penalties canceled. First down.
Well, it's Kalo Moore, number 13, working on the outside and just, you know, again, away from the action after the play, pushing and shoving, offsetting penalties, and a little frustration on the part of A&M. But a nice defensive stand by the Land Shark defense.
So Ole Miss takes over at the 49 after holding again defensively. Good field position. Only 6:51 that they want to burn off this clock, and they'll have their 6th win of the year and their 3rd in conference play. Kelly. Shouldn't have done that, maybe. Donovan Wilson, I think, has the interception.
Well, again, I don't know why he's throwing the ball down the field. He had his running back, Akeem Judd, wide open. If he just throws it out there, the safe throw, they got a nice game.
1st and 10, Texas A&M.
Second mistake by Chad Kelly tonight.
I want you looking at me. Tell me what you see.
Saving for retirement.
ESPN College Football is presented by Hilton.com, where you can book unbeatable prices on 12 unbeatable hotel brands. And in part by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Things happen quickly in the square in Oxford, but probably not that fast. And a few of the 60,657 we had here tonight had headed that direction. The rest savoring the fact that their team is up 20 and apparently on their way to another win, especially with plays like Marquise Haynes making that one right there.
You know, Marquise Haynes just ran right by the right tackle, Effendi. I mean, he is very fast. We've talked about the speed of Deshaun Hall and Myles Garrett. Marquise Haynes very quick.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Breland Speaks with the unsportsmanlike conduct call.
Well, Haynes is going to make the play. Speaks is really not even in the play. So it must have been a taunting or excessive celebration kind of thing, because he's not even around the action. There he is right there.
Oh, the headbutt. Okay. There we go.
That was unnecessary. Yeah, he kind of did that like he thought he was going to get away with it, going to be sneaky about it. When you're 6'3", 313, you just can't be sneaky.
No, you're not sneaky at all.
No.
Zubanek at quarterback with a first down at the 32. Throw is behind his intended receiver and broken up by Tony Bridges. Don't forget, you can watch another game when we're done. Stanford and Washington, then get some quick sleep. Set your alarm. The NFL Insider starts with Trey Mort, Adam Lewis, and the guys with all the breaking stories at 10. And then Chris Berman and the guys with NFL Countdown at 11. All starts tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. 4 wideouts for Hubenek. James White's in the backfield with him, trying to throw a block for him. Hubenek got away from some pressure and goes deep down the middle. A jump ball and caught by Noel. No, he dropped it. Had it, dropped it, lost his helmet, but we might get a penalty out of it anyway.
I don't know. I think he held on to the ball and lost his helmet.
Speedy has not been what he was a year ago. He's been battling some injury problems.
Boy, Hubenek took a shot, too. DeMarcus Gates really leveled him as he threw the football, but he was still able to make an accurate throw to Noel.
Fans getting a little restless here. I don't know what this discussion's about.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 48. Live ball foul, previous spot, 15 yards, automatic first down.
The face mask, the reason the helmet came off. Did grab him by the helmet and the face mask, and it did come off.
And the ball did come out.
So Cam Ordway. That's an ugly looking play all the way around.
Yeah.
So first down by penalty. The 47-yard line for the Aggies. Ole Miss, that's their 9th penalty. We had a lot of penalty yardage tonight on both sides. 20 penalties between the two teams.
And both of them 93 yards worth of penalties.
Hubenek double clutch through incomplete, intended for Christian Kirk. Zubin Mehadi's in the studio with an update.
Brad, quick programming note. If you're looking for Washington and Stanford, Kevin Hogan and company, they'll kick off at 10:36 Eastern on ESPN News. And when you guys are done at the Grove, the game on the farm will move over to ESPN.
Simple as that, folks. Just under 6 minutes left here. Only a field goal to show for their efforts tonight for Texas A&M, and that came following a defensive play by Myles Garrett on an interception. And Hubenek just sort of flipped that thing out of bounds as he was heading out of bounds. This will be a, losing to Alabama last week. Tough enough for A&M, 41-23, but there was 21 gift points courtesy of Kyle Allen, 3 interception returns for touchdowns. They're going to go back home now being 5-2 and 2-2 in conference play, and they got to put the pieces back together.
Well, they had 12 guys in the huddle that time.
In the formation, 5-yard penalty.
It's just been an offensive team that has been completely out of sorts tonight. This is the 9th time in the ball game that they faced 3rd down and 10 or longer on the road. That is a bad recipe.
Yep.
Ole Miss struggling on 3rd downs the last 4 games. Couldn't get off the field against Memphis. Tonight, they've been exceptionally good on 3rd down. 6 for 19 A&M is.
Dave Womack's going to have a smile on his face when this one's over. Hubenek rifles it on the sideline into some traffic, incomplete. And Elston's over there again to help make a play.
He's had a heck of a game.
Yep.
I mean, he is active. He reads quarterbacks well and makes great breaks on the ball with the right angle. I mean, he gets there in the right spot at the right time.
And maybe the last chance here for the Aggies. 4th and 15. Hubenek, this time No catch, or is it? Strictly Seals-Jones.
Great effort by Seals-Jones on the sideline, but they're ruling he was out, and a change of possession.
Now, you wouldn't think Chad Kelly's going to be throwing the football too much, at least not down the field with 5.5 to go.
Well, the last time he threw it, you know, he just got a little greedy. Something he'll learn as he gets more and more playing time.
The players cheer.
Coming up after tonight's Pac-12 showdown, which is on ESPN News right now. Sports Center at night, catch post-game recap plus a full breakdown of the day of college football. Sports Center at night kicks off right after Washington and Stanford are done, and they'll be here on ESPN in about 5 minutes, depending on how this last 5.5 minutes goes. Chad Kelly at one point said he had 2 mishaps tonight. I forgot about Myles Garrett and that interception. So Chad has thrown 3 interceptions on the night.
Well, you know, Chad Kelly has an NFL caliber arm. And sometimes when you have that kind of an arm, you have a little bit too much confidence in your arm. And you can think you can fit the ball in all kind of places, and you pass up. If he, on this last interception, if he just throws this safe pass out to his back, they keep this drive going, and it's a nice completion. But Chad Kelly wanted to get greedy, went down the field, threw into tight coverage, and he had an underneath route wide open. And again, that's something he'll learn as the more he plays. He's played extremely well, not just tonight, but through the first 8 games for Ole Miss.
DirecTV took you inside the drive that stalled because of that interception. 2nd down and 7. Little counter with Hakeem Judd. Had a nice night running the football. Picked up 6 more.
Well, the interesting thing, we talked about the unusual aspect of A&M's schedule of not leaving the state of Texas until tonight, October 24th. Ole Miss, their schedule, the thing that's strange about it, they play 10 straight games before they have a bye week. I mean, they go to Auburn next week. They play Arkansas on November 7th. Then they finally get a bye week November the 14th. But playing 10 straight games in this league is it takes its toll.
No doubt. Same play and same result. First down. Here's the schedules of LSU and Alabama, who right now are in front of Ole Miss in the standings. LSU perfect at 4-0. Alabama win today over Tennessee, so they're 4-1. And those two get together, which will be a monumental clash, as it always is.
Yeah. And again, the thing for Ole Miss is they've got to win over Alabama, and they get to play LSU here at home.
And LSU, understand, we had them leading Western Kentucky. Just went final a couple of seconds ago. So LSU with 48 points up tonight and another win. Be interesting to see how many yards Leonard Fournette had tonight, as he had his off night last week and had a career high carries and 180 yards in the game we did on an off night. .334 remaining in the quarter. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, guys, we told you about the scary incident with Christian Morris, the Ole Miss player who was immobilized during halftime and taken to the hospital by ambulance. He has a herniated disc. They are waiting further results from an MRI, but that is some positive news. Obviously, it could be a lot worse, so hopefully he is fine. They've alerted his mother, who is in Memphis, Tennessee, so she can come and be by his side.
All right, thanks, Holly. And we hope that's good news for Christian. It sounds positive. Greg Rothberg down in the truck just told us that Leonard Fournette went for, what, 150? 150 tonight. So another off night for Leonard.
Yeah.
2nd down and 6. A&M down to 1 timeout. They've run this play several times. This time trying to bounce it outside and doing a pretty good job of it is Hakeem Judd. He's playing like a tailback that wants more carries.
He was trying to get back or stay in bounds, but he stepped out of bounds. Didn't mean to do that. Trying to stay in bounds, keep that clock going. Of course, it still goes until we get under 2.
Hakeem Judd, 11 carries, 68 yards tonight.
Yeah,
and he's basically the number 3 tailback.
he's been a nice addition to their offense and their run game tonight.
They just kept getting bigger. First they brought in Wilkins. He's 214. Judge 222. Now they got Jalen Walton, the starter, back in there at 172 when he's soaking wet. And he'll try the same play as well and slips through there. That's why he's the starter. Nice run. 13 more for Jalen. He's close to 100, isn't he? 97 on 20 carries. First and goal. I'm betting this is a spot where Hugh Freeze just wishes he could just take the 2:38 off the clock and say this is good enough.
Yeah. Well, the worst thing that could happen to him right now is for another injury to occur. He's got all his starting offensive linemen and wide receivers out there. He just wants to get through this one.
Kelly keeps it. Tough run. Got a couple to the 5.
Not sure you want your quarterback
not in that mess
with 2:13 left either.
He's still not down.
No, he's a tough kid. I mean, we saw him in Florida get knocked around, and he kept getting back up. And
A&M takes its final timeout.
You know, there was some question about whether he was going to be a good fit here. Hugh Freeze taking a little chance on him based on some of the things that happened in his past. Started his career at Clemson, got kicked off the team there, went to junior college, but he has grown up quite a bit, and he has been a model citizen here in Oxford.
Let's check in with Zubin.
Brad, thanks. It's already fruitful on the farm for the Cardinal, Kevin Hogan, Austin Hooper. Again, this game currently being played on ESPN News. But when you guys are done at about 2:05 or so of clock time at the Grove, it'll switch over to ESPN. Back to you.
The Cardinal out in front early. Here, Ole Miss has dominated this football game over 15th ranked Texas A&M. Holly.
Well, guys, you talked about Chad Kelly changing his life. You know, he's got these tattoos, fear none, only God. He's really changed his attitude, his mindset. Went on a mission trip with his coach, Hugh Freeze, and I've talked with the co-eds on campus. The most important thing, they said he doesn't go out. We haven't seen him on the square in Oxford. He lives at the Manning Center. So good reputation here in town.
That is good to hear. 7 straight running plays for Ole Miss. It's going to be another one right here. And it's Markel Pack, the wide receiver, on the run. Knocked out of bounds unceremoniously, and the flags fly again.
Late hit. Yeah. Clearly out of bounds. And frustration penalty for Texas A&M, and that's their 13th penalty now in the ball game.
You just said you don't want to get a guy hurt in the last 2 minutes. Markel Pack hasn't gotten up yet. Quan Treadwell over there wanted to help him up, but I don't think he's going to get up right now.
After the play was over, personal foul, targeting a defenseless player, defense number 35. Half the distance to the goal. Previous play is under review.
So Riley Garner, a freshman, with the targeting call that's under review. That was helmet to helmet.
Yeah. And remember, they lost their best defensive player, Robert Kimdichie, with a head injury last week at Memphis.
And that was when Robert was playing offense.
Yeah.
So he is back with his teammates on the sideline. Good to see. The penalty, and again the official review going on. I think this one's probably going to be upheld, and as is Markel saying, boy, I had a pretty good night going until that happened.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. By rule number 35, it's ejected from the ball game.
So the freshman from right there in College Station is done for the night. after a targeting helmet-to-helmet hit. And Markel Pack was obviously out of bounds. And so they moved the football down to the 2. With just under 2 to go. Actually, it's inside the 2-yard line. This is where, if you score a touchdown, it looks like you're pouring it on the opposition, but you can't tell guys not to run hard or they might get hurt.
And you don't take a knee at this point either.
So it's Walton. Down to the 1. Maybe inside the 1. Don't forget Washington and Stanford, as Zubin told you, it's on ESPN News right now with Stanford up a touchdown. You can catch all of their action from Stanford Stadium when we're done here in the next minute and a half. So Stanford lost that game early to Northwestern. Maybe the way they're playing now, maybe they can do what Ohio State did last year. Remember, we had them lose to Virginia Tech, double overtime against Penn State, and then got it really rolling. Walton again. And again, stopped shy of the goal line.
Crazy thing is, we know it because we follow college football, but if you asked people leaving the stadium here, 50 people, who did Stanford lose to in the first game? Probably not many people remember it was Northwestern. They played extremely well, and that game was ancient history now.
That's how the Ole Miss fans can look at the loss to Memphis last week, I guess. Ancient history, because in the games that matter, and this one mattered a lot to both these teams. They're just 40 seconds away from going to 6-2 and 3-1 in conference play. And A&M not trying to give up a touchdown on 4th and goal, 3rd and goal, beg your pardon.
That shows a little character with this A&M defense.
And now a late flag flies in again in the end zone.
Just
frustration on the Aggies' part.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 74 of the offense. First of the game, 15-yard penalty. It's 4th down.
So this one's on Ole Miss.
Okay, that's a flop. Now, when you're 297 pounds and a guy pushes you with his one arm, you're not going to flop that quite that way. Zakovian Henderson drawing the penalty.
Well, it makes it 4th and goal at the 15. 22 seconds remaining. Ole Miss will move up in the rankings with this one because they were 9 spots below Texas A&M in the top 25.
We've talked about putting that loss to Memphis behind them. Let's not forget that Memphis is a pretty good football team. They won again last night, their 14th consecutive win. And Ole Miss with a great step forward after that game last week. And right in the thick of things.
Two buddies are going to shake hands out there. Tough to coach against good friends. Those two have been good friends for a long time. And one wins it, one goes home, sadly, without a touchdown even. Ole Miss 23-3 is the final. Dave Pasch, Brian Greasy, and the guys are at Stanford. For Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our crew, Brad Nessler from Oxford. Good night.